And now, race fans, it's time for the command. Please welcome back your Grand Marshal, Heisman Trophy winner Desmond Howard, with the most famous words in motorsports.
Gentlemen, as a representative of the great University of Michigan, I command you to start your engines!
They're around you with flash on the end and drive up to the front here. And guys will pit road and they get it done. Breathe it in, let's do it.
Well, if you want to talk Big Blue football with Desmond Howard, nobody better than Brad Keselowski, the Michigan native. He was at UM football practice the other day. Brad is our in-race reporter today. We talk to him on the Pace Laps next. Brad Keselowski has been one of the hottest drivers in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series of late. The big win at Pocono 2 races ago, followed by a runner-up finish last weekend at Watkins Glen. And there's nothing like winning at your home track. Brad Keselowski knows what that's like here at Michigan on 2 occasions. The Rochester Hills native would like to crack victory lane in the Sprint Cup Series today, and he's our in-race reporter lined up in that blue deuce in the number 6 position, DJ. By the way, Brad, the subject of our Gillette Pro Glide profile, Brad has really turned it up here in the last 10 races. You see how the performance has certainly turned some skeptics into believers here lately.
Hey, Brad, Dale Jarrett, the ESPN. You have a copy?
Yes, sir.
Hey, buddy, our first question comes from our ESPN mailbag, and Joey from Princeton, West Virginia says, you've been running great this past few weeks and on a broken ankle, too. How do you feel about your chances of making the chase?
Dale, I feel really good about it, and I want to thank all those people out there watching here today on ESPN. It's been a great run over the last few weeks, and appreciate everybody's support. It's been an awesome time for our team here, the Old Miller Lite Dodge team. So I really like our chances. We just got to keep plugging away, doing what we're doing right here, and who knows, we might find ourselves in victory lane today.
Well, speaking of that, I know that those first 2 victories that you've got in the Cup Series are very special, but this being your home track, I know that would be even more so. Did that Blue Deuce give you an indication you might can do that here today?
Well, you know, it was kind of up and down day through the weekend here. We qualified certainly very well, and I felt okay about my car, and then looked at the lap tracker and felt really good about it. So we'll just have to wait and see. We got the clouds coming in and out. We're going to have to make some good adjustments and find some track position at the end. And if we can do that, I think we can get our Dodge in victory lane.
All right, Brad, you have a good, safe, and productive day there. Thanks for talking with us. Now, Andy's going to talk to your crew chief, Paul Wolf.
Hey, Paul, Andy Petrie in the booth. You have us?
Man, loud and clear.
Hey, Paul, we talked today in our pre-race show a little bit about how you were a driver before you were a crew chief. How does that driving experience help you be a better crew chief on that bike?
I don't know, how much exactly. I don't know if we can say, but it definitely doesn't hurt. You know, I've had a lot of opportunities to run it, these tracks that are on this circuit. So, you get the sensation and some of the things that the driver feels and the feedback I get from Brad. So, surely doesn't hurt. And, today is, going to be another interesting race, I'm sure, with strategy. So, we feel like we've got good speed in our car. We'll see how the race plays out and, do what we need to do at the end to get the Miller Lite Dodge in victory lane.
Okay, Paul, hope it works out great for you today. Good luck. Thanks for talking to us.
Okay, thank you.
Paul Wolf, Brad Keselowski, in-race reporter today for us here at Michigan. Brad carrying one of our 8 high-definition onboard cameras today. Got some interesting stories among our onboards. People starting up front, running for the win today. We got some guys starting a little farther toward the back, like, for example, Kevin Harvick and Clint Boyer, who have pretty good race cars, and we'll watch come on up through the field. And then some of the guys on that bubble in the championship, like Dale Earnhardt Jr. So some interesting onboard looks. Field a little late rolling off for the scheduled start, so we're going to squeeze in one more break. We come back for the green flag at Michigan next. ESPN's live coverage of the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series with the Pure Michigan 400 today from the Michigan International Speedway. You see Greg Biffle choosing to start in the outside lane as the field comes to the 1-to-go signal, green flag, next time by. Kenyatta Houston changed tires on Kevin Harvick's winning truck yesterday here at Michigan. He's our over-the-wall reporter today, changing tires for David Gilliland. Have a safe day down there, Kenyatta. We appreciate you carrying our onboard camera. And some final stories from pit road before the green flag. We begin with David Burns. Dave?
Alan, what will the right strategy be today for Dale Earnhardt Jr., 9th in the points, still without a win in the 2011 season? Remember, last week they achieved their goal of a top 15. Not the most glorious way to leave the Glen, yet they moved ahead in the points. This weekend, their driver and their car much more competitive. Their starting spot much improved. So today, their goals are higher, and if they can achieve them, then they can only help Jr. in his race to the chase. Vince Welch?
Well, as the chase nears, Tony Stewart has yet to score his first victory, and he sits 10th in points, just 25 points ahead of 11th place Clint Boyer. Now, crew chief Darian Grubb's going to be keeping an eye on Boyer and 9th place Dale Earnhardt Jr. today. Remember, only the top 10 in points get in. If you don't have a win, it's the race within the race here at Michigan today. Jamie Little?
Well, when it comes to chase hopes, Greg Biffle is on the outside looking in. He's 13th. But a win today could change all of that. In the next 4 races leading up to the chase cutoff, this is the only track he's won at. Now today he starts on the pole, and you couple that with Jack Roush's dominance at this racetrack, 11 wins, he looks good for today. Dr. Punch.
Well, sitting 18th in points with just 4 races remaining before the chase begins, Mark Martin knows he probably needs to win a race to have a shot at a wild card spot. You know, Mark has been very good at this track over the years, and in fact, in his 30 years as a Sprint Cup racing, he has 40 victories. 5 of those have come here. Maybe the numbers line up today for Mark. He starts 5th in car number 5, and oh, by the way, this may be his 5th and final chance to be in the chase as a full-time NASCAR Sprint Cup driver. Alan?
Doc, thanks. Pace car is off. 200 laps around the 2-mile track. The Pure Michigan 400 is underway. Fanning out.
Didn't waste any time. Paul Menard, you can see, make a dive to make it 3 wide there. Casey Kane went to the high side. He told me last night his car really was good up on the top part of the racetrack.
It seems like that's where Casey Kane likes to run, and he can carry that momentum and use it to his advantage better than most.
Greg Biffle leads lap 1. Matt Kenseth slides up in front of Denny Hamlin in second. Single file for a minute, back through about the first 10. Just until they get to those corners. There's David Reagan dropping down to make it 3 wide.
It's such a fun racetrack because you just have so many different lanes that you can choose. See if your car works there. As we see Dale Earnhardt Jr. right on the bottom. Most of the drivers I talked with, though, say that's not the preferred line. You might get away with it down in 3 and 4. First few laps of a run with fresh tires. After that, you're going to have to move up.
Yeah, the problem with running on that bottom side is that by the time you get off the corner, you have to use all the racetrack all the way to the wall, and that's where everybody is. So it does pinch your car down low if you try to run down there, especially when you got all this traffic.
See Tony Stewart all the way at the bottom of the racetrack in that 14 when he crossed the start-finish line. The car jumping. There's that little bump in the track at the very lowest part of this front stretch, created from where they did some renovations to the under-track pedestrian tunnel a couple years ago. This racetrack to be repaved starting Tuesday. But you'll see the guys that go all the way to the bottom of this front stretch having to hop that little bump there just past the start-finish line.
Yeah, these drivers were telling me it'll give you a jolt inside the car. You have to be ready and prepared for it right then.
Casey Kane in the 4, 9th place, trying to get 8th from Kurt Busch in the 22. A lot of guys had that 39 car on their mind in the garage this morning. Ryan Newman.
Yeah, he's always been really good at this racetrack, and this team is really showing that they've got the consistency about them to be a real factor when it comes chase time. They're pretty solidly in there, even though they're just 8th in the points. They have that win that's really going to be beneficial to them.
Dale Jr. right behind.
There's 2 drivers here. Everybody's feeling stress about this race, but there's 2 drivers that have a lot of stress on them. That's Dale Jr. and Tony Stewart. Tony was feeling really bad about the mistake that he made on that last lap at Watkins Glen on Monday. Know that he gave away about 20 points there, but he's a confident race driver too.
Yeah, you can see a little stress in the garage area yesterday during practice. They weren't one of the better cars for a lot of that time, and You know, their back's against the wall. They have to get this car right. They have to score points, and that's a lot of pressure. I could see Darian Grubb up on the pit box before the race started. You could tell he was under a little pressure.
Little 4 wide for a second, slimming out to 2 wide. Jimmy Johnson trying to make some ground along the bottom in the 48. How about Marcos Ambrose in the 9?
Yeah, you know, he's going to need another win to think about getting in the chase, get that second win he could. And I think today's his best shot at doing that. See him trying to make some time on the high side. This is a place that he and his crew chief, Todd Parrott, could really make things happen and get that second victory.
Ambrose with the win at Watkins Glen last Sunday, but still outside the top 20 in the championship. Remember, to take advantage of that wild card, you got to be within 11th and 20th in points. And because where Brad Keselowski is and the number of other guys in that group that have 1 win, he is going to need a second win to have a shot at getting in the championship.
See Kevin Harvick there trying to go by Jimmy Johnson on the high side. Got a nice run. Kevin, saw him in practice yesterday. He worked pretty exclusively on the top side of this racetrack. You can get your car going up there. You won't have a lot of other cars impeding your progress.
Well, there's nobody going to get between him and the wall. I can tell you that. I watched that practice in 3 and 4. It looked like he was just inches off of that wall. Track's a little cooler today as this race starts, so I'm not sure you're going to see, you know, every car moving to the top that early. So you can see we got plenty of racing room now all over the track.
Watching 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th here. Denny Hamlin 3rd in that 11 car. Brad Keselowski in the 2. Kurt Busch, Ryan Newman right behind. Let's talk more about those track conditions for a second, Andy. You see this part of the track in sun, then a bit of shade. We saw when the race started a couple laps ago, the front stretch was in shade. Now it's in sun. How's that going to affect the cars and the drivers?
Well, it's going to affect the cars. It affects the grip level quite a bit. And what you have to do is make sure that you're aware of it, especially making your driver aware that if he's saying, hey, I'm tight in 3 and 4, I'm loose in 1 and 2. Okay, well, look, what's the sun doing? Is it different on one end or the other?
So Keselowski take that 3rd spot away from Denny Hamlin, his teammate coming there in the 22, Kurt Busch. You have to really be impressed with Busch and with Keselowski. The progress they've made this year with these race cars and teams, and I think the crew chiefs and engineers deserve a lot of credit. The drivers obviously doing their part.
Tony Stewart moving up some in the early going, started in the 18th position, fell back a couple of spots in that opening lap shuffle, is now picking his way back up to 16th spot.
It was kind of cool how they came together and looked like Paul giving him a little bump draft up the back straightaway.
Yeah, Paul he eased out of the throttle just a little bit to let Tony have that spot and get in line and see what he could do from there. You see Jimmy Johnson staying down on that bottom side. Not sure that's going to be that beneficial. He's trying to make it work down there, but continues to lose a couple more spots. I think his car is really loose right now. Speaking of the 48.
Kevin Harvick talking about moving up. Kevin started in 24th position. He's up to 17th. 10 laps of racing, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I heard a lot of drivers talk about how good he was yesterday in practice.
I'm watching Tony Stewart working underneath him. Tony's car looks pretty good. Looks a little better than it did in practice. Vince?
Yeah, they really were searching with this car throughout the course of the weekend, Andy, trying to find the right spot for Tony Stewart. And as you guys have documented, this is one of those days where he doesn't have any wiggle room sitting 10th in points. They finally believe that they found a spot with the car in qualifying that they would have a good starting point today, but built a lot of adjustability into that 14 this afternoon.
Well, if the track continues to go in and out of sun and cloud and that kind of thing, they may need some of that adjustability as the day goes on. A lot of that adjustability.
So cool to watch these cars. As you can see now, Kevin Harvick going to go to the inside, but the big run, you can see Tony got 5 or 6 car lengths. Watch him dive to the bottom. He'll almost get past Harvick, but with that momentum that Harvick has up there on the top side, keeping the RPMs up, he has so much more straightaway speed on the exit of the corner here.
That for 17th and 18th, while up front, Greg Biffle is ahead of Matt Kenseth by a second and a half. Biffle choosing the outside lane for the start. His prerogative as pole sitter. Used it to jump into the early lead, and he has paced all of the laps so far today here in Michigan. Just underway today in Michigan, Greg Biffle is out in front as we check out the $3 million Sprint Summer Showdown presented by the HTC Evo 3D. The Biff, of course, if he can go to victory lane, would be eligible for the Sprint Summer Showdown finale at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. If he wins that race, a fan The driver and the driver's charity will each win $1 million. Of course, Paul Menard, Marcus Ambrose already qualified, as well as Brad Keselowski. Carl Edwards there, the fan favorite to win the race. Here in Michigan, that's a pretty good choice.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with that, I wouldn't think. Carl Edwards had a lot of success here.
Sprint.com/speed if you want to find out more. And more of you, I guess, picked Carl Edwards to win today than anyone.
And if he was to get into the showdown, he'd be one of the cars to beat at Atlanta, too. So.
Yes, he would.
He's trying hard.
Edwards started back in the field in 22nd. He only moved up one spot in this opening run, trying to get a second one there from Jimmy Johnson. They threw a lot of things at that 99 car in final practice on Saturday.
Yeah, it's just been kind of a weekend where they haven't gotten the car under Carl the way that he wants to feel and the feel that he's really looking for. So they're making a lot of changes. Vince, how's it going right now?
Well, Carl says he feels like it'll be good in clean air, but in traffic he just doesn't have the grip that he needs. And you guys are right, they really did struggle throughout the course of the weekend, and the car has just been loose all weekend. Bob Osborne told me today, said not quite sure why. They think they might have gotten it a little bit better in that final practice, but they certainly had some concerns coming into this one for the 99 of Carl Edwards.
Yeah, Vince, Carl did run all of the final practice here in this car on Saturday before hopping in the plane and running up to Montreal and getting there just in time for the start of that NASCAR Nationwide Series race. Some other races this year that have been the split sites for the Nationwide Series and the Sprint Cup, they've had to choose between practice time in the Cup car and the Nationwide race and so on. But he was able to run all the practice laps here. Hopefully that helps him some today.
Yeah, I know he's got a huge commitment over there on the Nationwide side, but you know, it's getting time now. You know, they started the season out really strong, but we haven't seen Carl Edwards and his team be nearly as good here recently as what we've seen kind of Biffle and Kansas, so they need to step it up a little bit more. The 16 is flying, Jamie.
And Greg Biffle's been our leader since the beginning. This was him on the radio letting his team know about the competition.
Where's he running, Joe? Pretty much the same as you. Third and fourth for him, right? That's the two Penske cars. He's about the same as you. He gets into three a little lower, Matt does, than you do. Starting to get a little greasy on the nose of 1 and 2.
And they're talking about the line he's running versus his competition. A lot of drivers right now talking about running high is the place to be, and some of these drivers didn't practice there, Alan.
Yeah, conditions, like we were talking about before, Andy, conditions are going to change and partly dictate what you're doing.
They are going to change, and we can see now the lap times are 2 seconds off of their fastest laps to start the race. So that's when you start exposing some weaknesses in your chassis and things that you can work on. And the line, you heard Biffle talk about where are some of these other guys running. It's time to start looking around, see if you can find a better spot.
Giving the grill of that 17 car a pretty good look, Dave.
Yeah, the lower left, Andy, that's harmless, right? That little piece of trash? Come on.
Yeah, I think so, Dave.
Well, they don't think so right now. They did report, yeah, Matt, we see the trash on the grill. Watch your temps real closely. He was waiting for some temperature to come up on the air pressures to get the splitter off the ground, but other than that, the handling's been okay. But Tim Brewer in our Craftsman Tech Garage, what about that trash on the grill? What's the issue there?
It's a very delicate situation because anytime you stop the grill up, you're going to close off that airflow to the radiator. But what the driver, he's looking for right now, some traffic in front of him, because when he pulls up behind the guy in front of him, he's going to cut the fan off on the engine, and that paper is going to fall right off of there, and he's going to be back in good shape. Dave?
All right, Tim, thanks. So they're the looks like just a clear piece of cellophane.
One of the problems is they make that opening exactly what they wanted. Yeah. They have just enough opening to cool the engine and enough to have enough downforce, and they can't afford for something like that to get on there to mess the whole deal up.
Yeah, and it used to be this was the worst place that we came at the start of this race. You would have hot dog wrappers and everything else out there, and it would get clogged up very easy. They've done a much better job with the fencing and fans putting their trash in trash cans, and it's really helped that situation.
You're right. This has been the worst track for that in the history.
So Matt running second behind his Roush Fenway Ford teammate Greg Biffle, who has paced all of the laps so far in the Pure Michigan 400. The Biff trying to break through in 2011 with a Michigan victory.
27 laps down here at Michigan International Speedway. Time for the AT&T Fastest Pit Crew of the Year award. The fastest pit crew is determined by the winner of each race, the fastest pit time, and then you, the fan, and your vote. Be sure to text the car number to 234-567 for your pit crew choice. We are coming up on the first round of pit stops, probably at this rate, green flag pit stops. Our leader right now is Greg Biffle, and for more on that, let's go up to speed with Jamie Little.
And Greg Biffle has led all 28 laps. He's saying he's just a little bit free. So when he comes in, they're going to take some air out of the right rear to help that. This team desperately looking for their first win of the year as you see them coming up on some lap traffic. Dave?
Jamie, at the end of yesterday's final practice, Matt Kenseth said to his team, we've got some work to do here. Overnight they made changes. He's radioed in that perhaps a little too tight into turn one is the only thing wrong with the car right now. Ellen is caution on the track.
Dave, thanks. Debris in turn number 1 has brought out the first caution of the race, and those green flag pit stops have just turned into caution flag pit stops, and probably for a lot of these teams just in the nick of time.
I promise you, there's some drivers that want some adjustments that they wouldn't have been able to get on a green flag stop.
Maybe you were thinking like maybe Denny Hamlin?
Denny's struggling there. He dropped back to 10th. Lap times were off quite a bit, so I'm sure that Mike Ford and that crew will be making some major adjustments on that 11 car.
So first caution of the race comes out 29 laps in. Quick update, 6 cars have gone to the garage. Tony Raines, Todd Bodine, David Stremme, Joe Nemechek, Mike Skinner, J.J. Yaley. Only 2 cars not on the lead lap, Ken Schrader and David Gilliland. And the pit road's going to be open this time, and first time for these crews to stretch their legs out.
Yeah, they'll be slinging tires and wedge wrenches. You see one right there. Matt Kenseth's team getting ready to make an adjustment.
And most crucial thing, get it full of fuel.
Absolutely, got to get it full of fuel.
Yeah, nice big pit stalls here too that you can get in, so not a lot of problems there getting in and out of your pit as a driver.
Okay, pit road is open. Matt Kenseth should hit first among the leaders. Dave?
He is the very first pit stall off of turn number 4. There will be a track bar adjustment, air pressure out to the right front to help that car actually turn a little bit better. Dr. Punch?
22 car, Brad Kenseth. Kurt Busch, by the way, in, saying the car is very tight, entering the corner under load, air pressure change. They're also going to make a track bar adjustment right rear. Jamie?
Brad Keselowski, upper right-hand side. Remember, new rule change. The fuel man cannot make changes on the left or rear side of the car. They've had to mix it up. The 16 of Greg Biffle, air pressure adjustment right rear, clean stop. Down and away, the team gets the job done, Alan.
There was some mixing it up going on in the middle of that pack on pit road, but our Coke race off pit road. It's going to be Greg Biffle and Matt Kenseth coming off pit road in the first and second spots. And we'll come back for the restart in just a minute in the pure Michigan 400. Yeah, the Biff by that much. Nicole, thanks, and I look forward to hearing Desmond on our ESPN college football coverage. That Carl Edwards heading to pit road as we go green.
Just feels something weird there. Maybe didn't get all the wheels tight.
Kyle Busch with a moment there in that 18 car.
Get quite a few of those on these restarts. They're just so fun to watch.
Got the hood up on this 99 car. They got something serious going on.
There's that outside run you were talking about, that momentum, DJ.
Yeah, but Kenseth able to hang pretty tough there on this restart, a little more than he did at the start of the race. But 99's on pit road, Vince.
They got the hood up on the 99, as you mentioned. It's just spitting and sputtering. They wanted to check the plug wires and make sure the plug wires were tight on it. Carl's going to take it back out, and they're going to see how it's running, and then maybe bring it back around.
Bring it on back. Come back down pit road. Guys, go to the garage. So give them time. Just go. All right.
That Bob Osborne and
they heard
Carl, and
something
the
they didn't
99
like.
car is backing up on pit road and headed toward the garage area.
Yeah, they heard something in that engine they didn't like when he took off, so they just stopped him and brought him back. Now they can get under the hood. It's probably some mechanical issue under the hood, valve train related, quite possibly.
4 and 88, Casey Kane, Dale Jr. Throw Jeff Gordon into that mix for 5th place in the 24.
Yeah, Junior having a great run here today. He had driven up to that 4th spot before that caution came out.
Yeah, I was watching lap times. He had one of the fastest cars during the latter part of that opening run.
Junior really able, as I watch him, really able to get down into the corner, get this car turned and off. See some thoughts of 3 wide racing there again. Kevin Harvick, who had to go to the back, trying to work his way back forward here.
He's going to have to make something happen from back there, try to overcome this deficit they've dug into with this loose lug nut.
Those key words, track position. And, you know, we talked among ourselves. Let's talk about it here. Sometimes these days it seems like you've got to run a perfect race to have a chance to win. Harvick's team just gave up a bunch of track position there, and he basically gave away everything that he did in the first run of the race. I guess if there's good news, it's that it's still early.
That's the biggest thing. They've got plenty of time to make it up if they've got a good enough car. But from here, they can't make any more mistakes if they're going to try to dig out of this big hole.
Yeah, it's just so competitive out there now as we see Casey Kane try to battle back on Jeff Gordon here. But it's so competitive with so many teams that can win the race, capable of doing that. And so you just can't make any mistakes. But the good thing for Harvick, as you said, it happened early, and you're at a racetrack where you can pass, a very wide racetrack. He's running the top. That should be beneficial to him. Andy, as you said, no more mistakes for this day if they have any thoughts of going to victory lane.
The Penske Dodges, 3rd and 4th. Brad Keselowski, Kurt Busch.
I'm watching Brad. He was making some time early in the race up on the top. Now he's trying the bottom. Probably because we have new tires on right now, and he's taking advantage of that grip level, and he can use the racetrack. He's not in a bunch of traffic.
00 David Rudiman, 6 David Reagan, 5 Mark Martin. Remember we showed you in countdown Rudiman and Reagan with those nasty hits at the end of the Watkins Glen race last week.
Yeah, as we see Kurt Busch go by his teammate there on the right side, but just glad these two drivers are able to be here. They're a lot worse for the wear. They're both beat up and sore, but here getting it done today.
How about the 00 car, Dave?
Yeah, I was going to actually give you the injury update on him, but David Reagan as well, right in front of him now making the pass. Reagan said he was sore this week, but crew chief Drew Blickensterfer said that David Reagan never complained about it, even in a 700-lap test at Martinsville this week for Goodyear. David Rudiman, on the other hand, right behind him, drafting the 00. His left side pretty banged up. He got physical therapy and ice this week. Rudiman said, you know, the ice was the worst part. They just left it on there. Too long.
700 laps at Martinsville after that.
Yeah, that's
that'd be a long day.
Sometimes that's not a bad idea, just to get back in the car and work those parts that are hurting, because that's the only place that you're going to do that is inside the race car.
Jeff Gordon moving through this group in that 24 car.
Yeah, there's no reason to think he's not going to be a factor in this race today. Every time Jeff Gordon and this team have qualified reasonably well, and I mean inside the top 10, that race car has been good on race day. They need speed. They know how important that is, and they're going to work on their qualifying stuff before they get to the chase to ensure that when it comes in those 10 races that they're going to be in a good position to start each of those 10.
Jeff started 9th today.
He's got a lot of wheel in that car, though. You see him coming through the corner. That's probably not a bad thing here.
No, it's not. A slick racetrack, and we'll find most of the time when we see the inside of Jeff Gordon's car that he has that. He takes that back to the older cars, the feel that he's looking for. That's what he wants, is a little bit of tug on the steering wheel. Works well on a very hot, slick track like we have here today.
And right behind them, Ryan Newman trying to make up a little ground. Newman started 3rd, fell back some in that first run of the race. And now a 39 car running in 8th position. Greg Biffle has led all but a few laps in this race. Those few laps happening during an exchange of pit stops. Biff out in front in the pure Michigan 400. Still early though. About a quarter distance into today's pure Michigan 400, riding with Clint Boyer, who was one of those bubble drivers in the race to the chase, and he's come a long way since the start of this one.
He had a long way to go, but he has come a long way, and Heard a lot of people talk about Clint Boyer's car yesterday in practice. Really went through the corners well, so they thought that with this racetrack allowing you to be able to make passes, that he would find his way up into that top 15 pretty early.
Boyer started back in 35th position, and he is in 16th spot right now. I mentioned the dark skies. By way of full disclosure, here's what the radar looks like. Chief Meteorologist Andy Petrie has been analyzing this carefully for us during the commercial break.
Yeah, we might get a break here. Looks like it could split us, and we'll be fine.
Forecast was for a 30% chance of a shower, and we'll hope that it does split us and miss us.
We've got a 70% chance it will miss us, though.
There you go.
You
always work better at math than me. Kurt Busch and Jeff Gordon, third and fourth. That 24 car continuing to inch its way closer to the front.
Yeah, looks really solid. See Jeff inside there, driving through the corner. Have to really work these cars. The older cars that had more downforce stuff used to be a little bit easier. Now you see him going by Kurt Busch here.
And while we watch that race for third, there's a race for the lead, and it's changed hands.
Matt Kenseth snuck up there and took the lead on us, didn't he?
It's a little early for him to be sneaking up. Yeah, this is not typical Matt, but talking to him yesterday, said his 17 car was pretty good. A little tighter in the center than what he liked, though.
Wait a minute, Jamie, was this a strategic change of the lead?
That's right. Wait a minute. What do you do when you have debris on the grill and you're the leader? Well, when you have your teammate behind you, you work together to get it off. His temps got up to about 260, guys.
All right, so the Roush Fenway Ford teammates.
Matt says, okay, I'll lead. Let's see if you can get it off of there.
Yeah. The question is he going to give it up?
Who was it? Was that Kyle Busch? A couple weeks back was talking about, well, I got in front of him and he's not catching me, so I'm just going to keep it for a while. That was he and Denny Hamlin, yeah. Now, these two guys are leading, but one of their teammates is behind the wall, Vince.
Carl Edwards is indeed behind the wall, and bad news is sitting here with his helmet off. Carl, as everyone scurries around the car, what's the diagnosis?
I don't know yet. Something broke, but I got my little fan view here, and I'm jealous of Matt and Greg. This is one of the most fun races of the year. We had a lot of folks here from Aflac, from Ford, and this was a race for us to just go out and go for a win. And something broke, but we're pushing the envelope of everything with the engine and with the pit crew and everything, and we'll get all this stuff worked out for the chase. But I hope we can get back out there just to have some more fun. I love this place.
And we've got a caution on the track right now. Thanks, Carl.
Yeah, Vince, Bobby Labonte with a spin in turn number 2.
Saw a lot of smoke over there. Don't know if he hit anything.
Put tires on it if we can. We got to put tires on it if we can.
See the left front's down for sure there.
It looks good from here. So if they get it down pit road without tearing the fenders off of it, they'll be fine.
Yeah, just got loose getting into the corner right before he got to the center. Back end stepped out. Good wide racetrack, though, allowed him to not gather anybody else up and get it straightened out.
Pretty amazing. At 190 miles an hour, thing turns sideways, not hit anything.
You do a lot of things when you close your eyes and pray.
Bobby running 29th at the time of the trip around turn 2.
Yeah, that last round of pit stops, looks like Jeff Gordon's crew got his car a little better. He's moved up on these top 2.
Only one car on the racetrack, not on the lead lap. That's David Gilliland. That gives him the Aaron's Lucky Dog free pass. David running in 35th position will now come back around on the lead lap. Second round of pit stops. And again, Matt Kenseth will hit first, Dave.
And this time he is first. Leading the race, he pits for 4 tires, Sunoco fuel. They were talking about a track bar adjustment. There it goes. It was real loose until he got around Biffle. Then it got really tight. Track bar and air pressure adjustment. Dr. Punch?
Kurt Busch, left bottom of your screen. Kurt says the car is okay for 10 laps. Then begin to lose the drive off and I lose the entire front grip by lap 15. They're going to go back on the wedge and go back on the air pressure on the front tires. Jamie.
And Jeff Gordon made up some track position by making no changes on the last stop. That's the call this time. 4 tires, fill it up with Sunoco fuel. The 16, they're going a half round on the left rear wedge, down and away. The 5 car is the first one off pit road. Greg Biffle will succumb, guys. It was close for second.
Got a little strategy session going as we check our Coca-Cola race off pit road. Want some track position? Spend less time on pit road than the rest of them do. Mark Martin out first. In the Irish Hills of Michigan, a beautiful summer playground spot dotted with lakes. There's a beautiful 2-mile racetrack where they have been going at it. In the Pure Michigan 400 this afternoon for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, Bobby Labonte with the day's only incident so far, that long slide off of turn number 2 that brought out the second caution of this race. And we welcome you back to the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series in Michigan, the Pure Michigan 400. Make sure you go to NASCAR.com for all your latest NASCAR information. Just past 1/4 distance in the race. Greg Biffle and Matt Kenseth have done most of the leading. Biffle actually has done about all the leading, beside of a few laps. And now it is Mark Martin out in front after just getting right side tires on this most recent round of pit stops. Kevin Harvick, well, not so good for him.
Past the same cars we just passed again, so I don't know how we're ever going to get back to the front, Gil, without not coming into pits, I guess. We'll be fine. I know it sucks. I know it. We'll fix it. Just concentrate. We can fix this thing. We can still win. Car's good enough.
It's going to be tough. You know, he's just complaining about not being able to make up spots on pit road with having a mistake on pit road and having to come back in with a loose lug nut. I can see how it'd be frustrating for Kevin.
Harvick picked up from 31st to 22nd position after the extra pit stop on the first caution, and now he's in 25th position here. And remember, Jimmy Johnson on that first caution flag made 2 pit stops stuck. He's picked his way back up into 18th spot.
And he says the car is much, much more comfortable than it was before. They came in, took that rubber out of the right rear, and Jimmy said the car just felt weird getting in. They worried about maybe hitting the splitter, but now the car is better, more comfortable, drivable in the middle of the corner, which will help the 48, guys.
I'm glad Jimmy's feeling better about his car. I'm not feeling good about those skies there, weatherman.
Yeah, well, I didn't say it wasn't going to look like it was going to rain.
Wow.
It does.
Here we go.
Not sure how good a feeling that is with 2 tires when everybody else got it.
Biffle back to the front. 3 wide, Ryan Newman looking to the inside. 39 car trying to get some spots in a hurry. Tony Stewart, Jimmy Johnson, Clint Boyer trying to make some ground as well quickly after the restart.
Jimmy Johnson down on the inside, really getting a good bite now.
Yeah, his car really looks good right there. He was able to really turn the car left and it stays under him.
This Michigan track, one of the few that Johnson has not recorded a victory at in his, I'll say, illustrious NASCAR Sprint Cup career.
Yeah, really surprising because as well as they perform on these high-speed tracks over the years that they haven't. Of course, a couple of times they've run out of gas when leading right at the end.
Boy, what does that feel like for a team owner when one of his cars pulls up alongside his other and the one starts wiggling back and forth? Richard Petty Motorsports, A.J. Allmendinger, 43, Marcos Ambrose, 9.
Uh-oh. Now, I don't like that if I'm a car owner. Yeah. Both of my cars running into each other.
Just a little bump drive.
I know.
Right? Newman's still trying to make this bottom side work. A couple of laps into this restart.
Is trying to get 4th spot away from Kurt Busch.
Mark Martin hanging in there pretty good, though, after they got that through that first corner on those 2 tires.
Yeah. And besides a whoa, whoa, whoa earlier in the race, first call of Kyle Busch's number on the day is running up into that front group.
Yeah, and I think that shows a lot, too, of the kind of maturity of Kyle Busch, where in maybe the last few years you see now he's got a nice run, going to make it 3 wide going into turn 3. I was just going to talk about how patient he's been. but he is making his way, you know, given kind of what the car and the track's giving him, not pressing the issue. got plenty of time. He realizing now that these races are literally won at the end, and I don't mean to state the obvious, but you don't have to get there and lead all the laps. You know, you can take your time, get there, and make it happen when it counts.
Yeah, if you just pass 2 in each corner like he's doing right there. How long does it take?
And if you're thinking about those rain clouds we were showing, long way from halfway, and the forecast is even if we do get a shower, it's going to go through relatively quickly, and we should see this whole 400-mile distance today. Tony Stewart trying to follow Jimmy Johnson through.
Oh, Jimmy get a little loose.
Yeah, a little loose, but it looks like a pretty good idea on Tony Stewart's part. That 48 looks like he's got it hooked up right now and going. One struggling's right there that Jimmy's coming up on. Denny Hamlin still just hasn't exactly found what he's looking for in that 11 car yet today.
6 positions forward for Jimmy Johnson since the restart.
Actually, that last run for Denny was not a bad run. It wasn't as good as the first one. This one here is more like it was in the first run.
Yeah, of course, we'll see what exactly happens. But you have to wonder, too, how much Denny's kind of just taking care of things right now, seeing what his car's got, but making sure with this TRD engine that he's got something there at the end for sure.
Well, one other thing that's really affecting the way these cars are running is the track conditions have definitely cooled off a lot. Those dark clouds Alan's talking about have definitely taken effect.
Don't blame that on me. Denny Hamlin finished first, second, and first in the last 3 races here at Michigan, Jamie. And right now he's just outside the top 10.
He is, and you guys hit the nail on the head when you said track conditions are changing. Denny's been telling his crew for the first 2 stints, my car is so tight, I can't turn it. They've been adjusting, wedge adjustments, as Tony Stewart just blows by him. Now he's saying he's too free. The track has cooled down about 10 degrees at this point, but one thing we do know, that TRD motor under the hood, he told me it's been working great. And the matter of fact, he said it wasn't because this motor is better than JGR. This motor has reliability. And Alan, next week he will be running the Joe Gibbs motor, and he'll be back to TRD the rest of the year.
Next week at the short track event in Bristol. Look at this.
Oh, wide. He's got plenty of room for more. Well, until you get off the corner.
78 car Regan Smith in the middle of that. There's Paul Menard in the 27, the Indy winner. Jamie McMurray in the 1 car. Told his crew at the end of final practice yesterday, we have the best turning car we've had all year.
Well, that's a definite plus here. You know, you don't want to get the car too loose, but you want a car that'll allow you to stay in the gas, turn really well. You see Kevin Harvick slide up in front, trying to get a little drafting help right there.
That was close.
That's what makes these guys good.
If anybody could do it, right?
Yep.
I think Jamie had a lot to do with that, making it work.
But there's an art form to that, though, right? Knowing how much to lift off the gas without breaking your own momentum to keep from running over the guy in front of you.
Yeah, and this is the time that you give a guy a little bit of a break. Later in the race, that might not be the same.
That hole
case.
might be 6 inches shorter.
Yes.
A little bit of trash on the grill of the leader, Greg Biffle, you caught there. Carl Edwards back in the race. Edwards some 28 laps down in 36th position.
We really never got him to tell us exactly what happened to that engine, did we?
No.
He danced around it a little bit.
No. Could also be the case they were so busy working on it, he just didn't know for sure.
He just knew something wasn't right.
It was important, whatever it was. Past the quarter mark, about a third of the way into the Pure Michigan 400. Greg Biffle has dominated. Back at Michigan International Speedway, shy of halfway, Greg Biffle is leading Mark Martin after getting just right side tires, is running second at this point. Let's take you up to speed, get some updates on the Hendrick Motorsports cars, all of whom are having pretty successful days. Doc, how about this 5?
Indeed they are, Alvin. Mark Martin is a 5-time winner here at Michigan. You know, throughout the weekend practice, he was 4th in the first practice and 1st in the final practice. No matter what they did with this car, Mark said the balance was good and it was fast. However, when the race started today, he said it was sideways in the corners, loose in and loose off. He couldn't drive it. On this final pit stop a moment ago, they changed 2 right side tires and put a round on the track bar. And now Mark says the balance is perfect. Leave it alone. Jamie.
And Greg Biffle's been top 4 all weekend long. He's proven that today in the race. The car's been good. The balance great. Now remember, last weekend at Watkins Glen, the team ran out of fuel. We're talking about Greg Biffle, the leader. He ran out of fuel. They're reminding their driver already that they need to conserve fuel. This is not something that's been a strong point this year, so they've got to keep their mind on fuel mileage. Doc?
When the race began, 5-time Sprint Cup champion Jimmy Johnson started 19th, and he said the car just doesn't feel comfortable. It feels strange entering the corner. He used the word weird even in the middle of the corner. Why would he be gun shy? Because back in June, early in the race on lap 9, Jimmy, all by himself, spun that car in the corner here, had to come down pit road. They broke the front sway bar because of the spin. It cost him 2 laps, and he finished back in 27th. So Jimmy wanted to be very, very careful. They came in, took a right rear rubber out, and now Jimmy Johnson is setting sail. He is up to 6th position. Dave.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. had a condition in practice yesterday he really didn't like, Doc. That was a very loose race car. And he had that same feeling during the last run. They came down pit road, made some adjustments for that. He still says right now I have no right rear grip, and he's hoping they can continue working on this car. Remember, qualified in the top 10, a good start for them, struggling a little bit with the handling right now, Alan.
Junior, one of the bubble guys in the race to the chase. 4 races until the field is determined to race for the Sprint Cup. Greg Biffle out in front has spent most of the laps of the Pure Michigan 400 pacing the way. Another round of pit stops not far away. Here comes your leader. There he goes, Greg Biffle, leading the Pure Michigan 400 at the Michigan International Speedway. As we close in on the midway point of this event, Biff out in front by 4.3 seconds over a new second-place car.
That's going to get narrower and narrower. That car's moving.
Kyle Busch is on the move. He's gotten up against the wall, and that thing's turning, and he's in the gas.
Kyle on the radio to his crew just a little bit ago said this.
R1 better. Thank you. Thanks for helping us out, bud. You're doing a great job.
That's fun. So Kyle up to the number 2 spot and moving there, Vince.
Yeah, and just a moment ago, right after that radio, Kyle said, boy, this ain't bad. And you can always tell by the tone of their voice how happy they are. And that is certainly welcome relief for Kyle Busch because they started the weekend great. Dave Rogers told me we rolled off the truck so fast, and then we tweaked on it a little bit, and it got wrecking loose, and then we couldn't get back to where we started. So they made some changes coming into this race. He said we'll have some adjustability in it. They seem to have hit the sweet spot for Kyle Busch in that 18.
Gotta love that sweet spot.
Yeah, I know. This is one of the guys that had out of the top 10 in points coming in here that has not won at this track. Jimmy Johnson's the other one.
Now that's younger brother. Older brother was up among the top 4 or 5 in the early stages of this race. He has slipped back a little bit, and that car doesn't look as pretty as it did a few laps ago.
A little damage to the right side. You see he's still fighting it. It's off of turn 4, but a little while ago down in turns 1 and 2.
Yeah.
That's the danger of running up that high. You get loose, you got nowhere to catch the car.
Yeah, but the wall saved him right there. If he'd been down, he would have spun out. Yeah.
And Kurt has slipped back to the 11th spot, Doc.
The good news for Kurt is he's radioed. He doesn't think there's anything rubbing. He said, keep an eye on it. Maybe we can short pit in about 6 or 7 laps and take a look at the right front. He said that could have been bigger than it was. Right now, no vibrations, and the spotters are saying no rub, so he might have gotten very lucky.
Coming on in, flat spot on the right side. Middle of 3 and 4. Be ready. Take a look. Now it's pit 4. Quite a bit of right side damage, just flat-sided. I don't see any smoke yet.
And so that allowing Kurt to get to that next pit window without having to stop and get off sequence.
Yeah, even though he's losing some time here, he's still in a relatively good position. He's back in 11th, and he's running about a half a second off the leader, so better to stay out and see if he can time this to pit with everyone else.
And the save of the day so far belongs to A.J. Allmendinger in that 43. Watch this a couple of laps ago coming off the corner. And watch the black marks the right rear tire of this car leaves.
Whoa. That's sweet, man. That's at 190 miles an hour.
Still digging.
Look at it. On.
Whoa, baby.
Wow.
Yeah, I got Roger, they're still all clear. Still 7 back.
That's terrific. See him shaking his head.
Yeah, like I can't believe I just did that. Actually, I don't believe I saved it.
I want to talk about Casey Kane for a second in that 4 car. Here's a guy who has got to be looking for every good luck charm he can find, right? Because this team has been hot and cold this year. Some races they just haven't run all that well, but some races they have had the speed to win, and something's kept them from getting to the finish. For example, the June race here, ran out of gas, posted to pit road, couldn't get the car refired. By the time they did, lost 2 laps, got back out on the racetrack, right? He had a car that was a potential contender for the win back on June 19th.
Yeah, I talked with him yesterday afternoon. He was really excited about his chances here today. Said he really likes running here. And I was actually asking him some about the TRD engine, how it performed, what kind of tracks, and thinking about Denny Hamlin's change. And he was telling me this is a perfect track for that engine, the way it works with the RPMs and everything. And he was really excited about their chances here today. Dave, looks pretty good so far.
DJ, as he challenges Mark Martin going to the high side there. Crew Chief Kenny Francis told me that the setup that he likes on his race cars, you see Keselowski on pit road. Let's go to Jamie.
And Brad Keselowski making his way down pit road, racing this weekend without a brace, enduring the pain. Guys go around to the right side, track bar adjustment. Car is just tight, but guys, I'd be nervous about making changes. The sun is back out, and that's good for 10 degrees. Doc?
Martin Truex coming in, getting right side tires, now left side going up on his Toyota Camry. Major chassis adjustment. Martin has said the car has been tight in and loose off. Here's Mark Martin, the 5-time winner. Remember, right side tires the last time. That'll believe they're going to go 4 this time. Also a chassis adjustment. Martin complaining the car still very loose on entry as well as loose off. Left side tires going on the 5 car. Mark Martin. Now Mark Martin leaves 13-6. Left side of your screen, there is Kurt Busch. They wanted to come in, take a look at that right front fender. Nothing rubbing. 4 tires on the 22. Let's go to Vince.
The 31 car, Jeff Burton, they've had their issues all day long with tight and have also grazed the wall. They made a 4-tire change with an air pressure adjustment.
Casey Kane on pit road. They will make a 4-tire change, air pressure adjustment for the car that is just a little bit loose right now. Vince.
The 18 of Kyle Busch, he called it unbelievable. It's that good. You don't hear Kyle talk about it that good often. 4 tires, no changes, Dave.
No right rear grip for Dale Earnhardt Jr. 4 tires, track bar adjustment, car full of Sunoco fuel. He's gone.
And the leader, Greg Biffle, is on pit road. First green flag stops of the day. Dave?
Talking about a track bar adjustment down for Matt Kenseth. 4-tire change. It's loose, but a tick better in 3 and 4, according to the driver. They'll try to get it full of fuel as well to make another long green flag run. Jamie.
And Greg Biffle makes that long drive down all the way to the #1 pit box. The car has been coming around. It's been good. They're going to fill it up. Work on this car. 4 tires. No changes once again for your leader, Greg Biffle. Meanwhile, the 24, Jeff Gordon is in. They have not made a single change on this race car. That is the call this time. Fill it up with Sunoco fuel and 4 tires. And Denny Hamlin making his way. Started the day off tight. Then the sun went away and it got free, so they're not making any adjustments. 4 tires, tear off the front windshield for Denny Hamlin. Down and away, Doc.
Jimmy Johnson coming, and remember how far they've come. Well, probably Jimmy Johnson getting the car in, pointed on the pit road. Not completely in the box there, right rear out for the NASCAR officials at right rear as far as trying to get in. Left side tires going on. Jimmy has said, be very careful. Don't make major changes. The car has gotten really good. Trying to get it completely full of fuel. The right rear can be out there if you force out. He is down and away.
Yeah, that looked unorthodox the way he parked in that stall, but that is legal. It's just barely legal, but they can have that right rear tire out of the box as long as the other 3 are inside.
So Andy Lally is the leader, not having yet made his pit stop in the 71 car. Ken Schrader has not stopped yet, and then it will cycle back around to the guys who were leading this race before. But the gap between what was the top 2 has gotten a lot smaller than it was. look at Kyle Busch and how much he closed on Greg Biffle through that exchange of pit stops.
Yeah, we talk a lot about just
Check
how
this
much.
out.
Look at this, 4 wide. Saw Landon Castle go to the high side there, but Kyle Busch just so good getting on and off of pit road, getting the most out of his car, and really helps when his pit crew does the job too.
Well, their pit crew has been one of the best crews on pit road for a couple of years now, so that's no surprise that they're able to make up a lot of spots and time on green flag stops.
And Andy, the tire that they're using here seems to have a pretty good bit of fall off. Kyle pitting that 1 lap earlier than Biffle did, maybe that accounted for some of that closing too?
Yeah, and you're seeing just a little bit of that there. You see Biffle now able to take advantage of just having a little bit fresher tires to go back by Kyle.
Watch this a couple of laps ago, both the 16 and the 18.
This is kind of cool right here. Look at that.
Oh,
that was close.
Biffle actually getting part of the wall there. The exit of turn 4.
We've used the phrase synchronized spins before. How about synchronized scuffs? Andy Lally still leading, has not yet pitted. Once he does, and he is slowing now, that will hand the lead over to Greg Biffle. As we close in on halfway, looks like the showers have passed to the north of us there, Andy, and the sun is back out here at the Michigan International Speedway. Good racing at the Michigan International Speedway for the lead as we come in on halfway. Greg Biffle, Kyle Busch, 16 and 18, came off the pit lane together. They haven't been very far apart.
Kyle Busch has had the lead a few times, but not officially. Greg Biffle won't let him lead at the line, so been great, entertaining racing here. Two guys that love to stand in the gas. They're at the right place.
Jimmy Johnson, Kurt Busch farther back. This is for 10th and 11th spots.
Yeah, Jimmy Johnson lost a lot on that green flag round of stops when he had to get kind of cockeyed in his pit stall, had to slow down getting there, and it cost him 4 or 5, 6 spots. On the other hand, Kurt Busch seems to have his car going again.
And as Jamie mentioned before, the sun's out again. Track conditions have changed.
Yeah, I promise you some drivers are hollering now that something totally different about their car than what they were talking about 15 laps ago when the clouds were over the sun and we had a little cooler temperatures.
Andy, you talked about Jimmy losing some time. Look at this. Jimmy losing some time. He was 6th before the pit stops, and then he's back racing for 10th now.
To get a few laps on the tires, Kyle Busch goes to that high side. He really gets a huge run off the corner. His car just turns in the center, and he can just nail the throttle. Look, he's going to use this lap car to go by on the high side.
Look, they're drafting right by Biffle.
Maybe.
Or maybe not. That was pretty cool, though.
The wind blowing at all? Is it gusty down the straightaway?
Yeah, it's really gusty, really gusty. It's blowing it's blowing against you down the back.
Okay. Something's wrong with the motor, guys. Sorry about that. Everything looks good in here. Just taking it easy. Let me know what you want me to do here.
Well, you see a lead change now. It's like Kyle will get that spot officially at the line. But, you know, if I'm Biffle, I'm worried about that, too, because you already saw Carl Edwards having a problem in the garage area with an engine. That makes you really study your gauges, look at things, and you're kind of sensitive to that. So when he felt those wind gusts, that's why he was apprehensive.
Yeah, and you get a lot of that because of where we are here in this big racetrack. I've had it happen before, and you start looking, figuring out exactly what's wrong. And you never have that happening when your car's not very good. It's only when you have a great car that you start thinking about and feeling all of those things.
All right, so it looks like Kyle's going to make the lead stick, at least for this lap, as we come to the halfway point of the Pure Michigan 400. Kyle Busch, the new race leader here at the Michigan International Speedway. Cautions out in the Pure Michigan 400. Debris on the back straightaway is the report. You see the cleanup crews heading out for it. And we expect the pit road to again be a busy place, even though the guys were just on the pit lane a little while ago. Pit crews will have to limber up. Question is, what exactly will they be doing to their cars when they get there?
Well, we saw Mark Martin take advantage of a situation just like this earlier in the race where he got 2 tires, and it worked out great for him because now he's 4th, and he kind of parlayed that 2-tire change then into quite a bit of track position. We'll see if anybody else will try it.
That signal with the officials pointing downward, basically pointing at the pit road, saying pit road's open.
That's their signal.
So, who's going to do what? Dave, how about the 4-car?
They'll be the first to try too, Alan. They're going to make no changes chassis-wise. The car a little bit free, but he can handle it. No changes last time. Just 2 tires for him. Dr. Punch?
And left lower screen, it worked last time. Why not try it again? 2 right side tires only for Mark Martin. They're going to go back up on the track bar. 1.5 rounds. The car was very, very tight. Vince.
The 18 of Kyle Busch, they debated a 2-tire change, but they're going to stick with 4. Also going down a half round on the track bar. Jamie Little.
Greg Biffle saying he got really tight there after he lost the lead. Half round a wedge, and they're going to take 4 tires as the race off pit road continues as Greg Biffle is in his pit box. He's down and away and gave up a lot of track position, Alan.
Look at that. 2.
Looks like there were a lot of crew chiefs paying attention when Mark Martin did it.
Track position. Casey Kane first off the pit lane in the 4. We'll come back for the restart in a minute. The running order really shuffled up. Sprint brings you an inside look at the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. Today at Michigan, Casey Kane is going to be the new man in charge of this race. He'll be your front runner, while the biggest mover on the day, how about Clint Boyer? 26 positions up from where he started in this race. For more NASCAR stats and a chance to win $1 million in the Sprint Summer Showdown, go to sprint.com/speed. So a round of pit strategy has shuffled up the running order in this race. All of these guys you're looking at the front of the field, just right side tires on the pit stop. Kane and Kenseth, Gordon and Martin, Kurt Busch and Johnson and Ambrose and Hamlin. Where's the guy that was leading the race? Oh, there he is, Greg Biffle, all the way back in 11th place.
I bet you if he'd have thought that everybody else was going to change too, he would have. This is going to really test his car to see how well he can pass in traffic, because he hasn't really been back there.
Yeah, and a few other drivers that had worked their way up into very solid position that need good runs. Tony Stewart, Dale Earnhardt Jr., they opted for Ford. Stewart in 18th, Dale Jr. back in 25th now.
Speeding penalty for David Ruderman on the pit lane. He would have restarted 14th. He's going to be falling back to 30th for this restart. And another mention of changing track conditions, by the way. You see that part of the track in shadow, some parts of the track in sun, like right there. What a tough one for the crew chiefs to figure out what their car is actually doing.
Well, I figured out a long time ago you can't do anything about the weather. Well, I guess you can. You can adjust your car for it.
Yeah, but the driver has to adjust his thinking, too. You have to be very cognizant of where that's happening, because you don't want to dive off into where that sun's been heating up the track a little bit more and expect it to stick really well.
Pace cars off. This green flag restart presented by American Ethanol. It's Casey Kane with Matt Kenseth to his inside as we take the green flag.
Oh, yeah, it took him all the way to turn 1 to get 4 wide right here.
Matt Kenseth gets through to the lead. Jeff Gordon trying to hang to the inside of Kane for second. Here's Jimmy Johnson to the bottom in the 48. And Montoya, whoa, hang on.
Yeah, drivers were telling me yesterday as I was talking to Matt Kenseth and Brad Keselowski and Casey Kane that on these restarts it's very difficult because this rubber gets put down and it doesn't get knocked off, and it's almost like a sheen that's on the track. Very, very slick. You can see there, you can almost see the tire tracks, and they say these restarts are very, very difficult for about 2 or 3 laps.
Jeff Gordon through to second, Jamie.
That's right, one of those cars that took right sides only. He said he's just a little bit tight. The car's been good today. Talked to his crew chief this morning, Alan Gustafson. He said, hey, we're in a good situation. 7th in points. We don't have to be conservative today. It's all about the win. And that's what racing's all about. So Jeff Gordon, Alan Gustafson there on the left-hand side. Excited about today. Just winning is their agenda.
Well, both Jeff and Alan know what it's like to win here. Not together yet. But Alan a winner here with Mark Martin. Jeff 2 wins here with a couple of different crew chiefs. Hornet's nest.
To say the least. Kyle Busch, I saw him intentionally. Well, he drove into the middle. I assume that was intentional. It's not exactly a place you always want to be. Here comes Clint Boyer on the move.
Really impressive drive.
It really is. You know, as I said earlier, drivers were telling me that this 33 car looked really good in practice yesterday going through the corners. Wasn't sure that it'd be good enough to drive his way all the way up here, but he knows what he's got to do. He's got to get as many points as he can and try to win a race.
Clint, first driver outside of the top 10, and does not have a win yet for that wild card spot in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup.
Yeah, but I'm going to use a line that Andy Petrie uses a lot as we see tight racing boys.
It's not over yet either. Mark's going to get a little bump draft.
But Andy Petrie has said for like 4 years that Clint Boyer is a professional at racing his way into this chase.
Yeah.
He's always right around. He can't be up there in 4th or 5th. See these battles continue right there. Wow, Kyle Busch almost into the wall.
Remember, Kyle was up there leading the race when the caution flag came out, got the 4 tires, knocked him back in the traffic.
Yeah, he had a bad pit stop. He had like a 15.5-second pit stop versus a 12.8 on Greg Biffle.
Yeah, and that's Biffle. That's who the 1 and 2 were. Now you can see he's caught him in this traffic.
A little
bit of a bump there.
Tony Stewart trying to get out from behind Kyle Busch.
Yeah, I think Kyle just going to move a little bit, and Tony was just, I think, had plans of pushing Kyle a little bit forward.
One of those ooh moments. At least it was for me.
I'm telling you, look, whoa.
I wonder how much he got that right front fender there.
Yeah,
Andy.
he didn't touch it too hard because he didn't see Mark's car move a lot, but he saw a little puff of smoke. It's not good though. You don't want to be you don't want to be adjusting the car like that.
Every time we've looked up,
look at that run McMurray got.
See these two battling once again, not for the lead this time, but 2 fast race cars trying to make their way back forward.
This is for 11th and 12th places, though, instead of 1st and 2nd like it was 20 minutes ago.
Yeah, Kyle Busch has got this car on the move. It doesn't seem like whether it's cloud cover or sun out, making much difference. They've got this car well balanced for Kyle, and he's able to make passes. He goes to the top and to the bottom. Really good race car. Makes it really fun to drive this racetrack when you have a machine like that.
Kyle was 6 places behind Greg Biffle on that restart, Vince, but he's trying to push his way back up through.
Well, the 18 definitely has an outstanding race car. As you see the battle for the lead between Jeff Gordon and Matt Kenseth. Gordon trying to get underneath Kenseth as they fight for the first place position here at Michigan, and Gordon gets him. And Kenseth looks back underneath, but Gordon's going to make it stick. So Jeff Gordon in front, and that's a spot that Kyle Busch had earlier in the race. And Busch, as you guys noted, on the move again, really likes his race car on the left-hand side of your screen. Kyle, they've worked on getting this car to be consistent over the full fuel run, and that's something that we've seen really change for a lot of these cars today, especially with the sun coming in and out of the clouds. They've really been battling with their balance, but the 18 seems to have figured something out, Alan.
Yeah, Alan, just what you're saying, Vince, I think that's where Dave Rogers has made a big difference in Kyle Busch and his driving. Kyle's always been able to go fast. We see Jimmy Johnson trying to take a spot away from Kurt Busch here. But Kyle's always been fast, but they would have some fall off with their tires. And I think that Dave Rogers, Andy, has made a big difference in that team in this respect.
Yeah, sometimes you got to, pull those reins back a little bit and help them see the big picture, because all they really see is what's going on in the car. And I think Dave Rogers has done a great job with that.
Jimmy Johnson around Kurt Busch for 3rd place without incident. Casey Kane hanging behind. There's the gap up to the race for the lead. Jeff Gordon out in front of the Pure Michigan 400, seeking a 3rd win in 2011, but he's got a long way to go. Chevy brings you Drive It Like You Want It. Enter for a chance to win a new Chevy Silverado and a trip to the Texas Motor Speedway and meet Team Chevy drivers Mark Martin and Jeff Gordon. Visit driveitlikeyowantit.com now. A win could be in the cards today for Jeff Gordon. Out in front, big win it would be. Of course, the trophy, winning the race today, bonus points toward the championship, a spot in the Sprint Summer Showdown. And for Gordon, what would be his 85th career Sprint Cup win, putting him into 3rd all-time by himself from the tie he now sits in with Bobby Allison and Darrell Waltrip. Jeff on the meaning of that 85th win.
It means a lot. You know, my whole life has been all about racing, and you know, what I love so much about racing is winning. You know, that first time I saw a checker flag wave, and I was the first one across the line, and it's an incredible feeling.
Bobby Allison, Darrell Waltrip, and Jeff Gordon trying to get past them on the all-time win list. Wow.
That's tall order, and just shows what a tremendous career Jeff Gordon has had and continues to move on.
Denny Hamlin.
Looks like the right side of that thing's a little flatter than it was to start the race.
See you. We're done.
Yeah, he's flat side of that thing pretty hard.
He was 19th at the time when this happened.
It almost looked like a tire was going down there because you could see he was trying to catch it, trying to keep going. And then all of a sudden the rear end just...
On the wall and 1 and 2. 4 tires. 4 tires of fuel. 4 tires of fuel.
The tires look to be up.
Remember Hamlin right on that bubble in the race to the chase. Jamie?
And they were banking on having a great run here today. They felt like their chances of winning were even better than in the spring when they won. He told the team, you heard him, he got into the wall, 4 tires here. Car seems to be okay, but they got to pump up their drivers, saying they're already done. What's up with that, guys? 77 to go.
All right, so Hamlin back out in 32nd position at the moment as we watch Jeff Gordon holding a 9/10 of a second lead on Matt Kenseth for now.
The water's temp's going up. 250, 260 on the oil. 10-4 got some trash on the grill. Just watch it for me. And start getting a plan and drop back to that 17. Don't do it yet, but I'll let you know. If you see 260 on that water, to drop back to that 17. I'm also getting extremely loose.
Yeah, that water temp, that 250 is not a really high number to worry about yet. If they can keep that thing under about 260 or 70, I'd just leave him there. See, right now he must be concerned about it. He's going to try to use Matt Kenseth to get this paper off the grill.
Yeah, another thing you could hear him say is how loose it made his car there. I think the combination of getting out front and getting that all of that trash on there put a lot of downforce on the front end. Have to see if he got it off right there.
That's I'm trying to look at. Is that orange tape that they have there, or is that still the trash?
Still quite a bit of trash. Just let me know if it comes down. If it doesn't, we'll fix.
You can see Matt Kenseth pull down. He's trying to break that draft. He's not willing to help too much.
No, we're just going to have to drive back up to him. This is not like teammates working together to get this done.
If that didn't get it, then nothing's going to, so let me know.
Yeah, he feels like he made a really good effort there. He got right up against Matt's bumper, probably had his fans turned off. He says, if that didn't get it off of there, then we're probably stuck with what we have until we make a pit stop. Another shot.
Nothing else, he's going to rub it off.
It's still there. You can see some more debris flying around on the straightaway as they go by.
Now Gordon back to the lead.
That's coming down.
He must have got the major part of it off.
All right. So some drama there for the race leader for a moment. A little drama also for Kevin Harvick, who, remember, showed you Denny Hamlin stuffing into the wall a little while ago? I think Harvick might have gotten a little bit of that action as well.
He's been running right up next to the wall most of the day, but looks like a little too close this time on the exit 4.
He doesn't hit it quite as hard as Hamlin did, though.
You can hear it. Do you hear that in the car like that? Like we hear it on the onboard camera?
Yeah, it's a terrible sound too. Yeah. But you actually do. You can't hear that.
It didn't deter him from running up high, though. Actually, I guess it gave him a little more room. He can go just a little higher now.
These drivers were telling me about how aerosensitive these cars are, and I was asking them, is it just when you're directly behind someone, beside someone? And they said every scenario. If you can see a car, it's affecting your car, and most of the time in a negative way as far as the feel that you get and the drivability of it.
Looking at Dale Jr. here. He lost some spots on pit road before, and Dave, he's in the process of making them back up on the racetrack.
Well, that's been the impressive part, Alan. Restarted 25th and all the way up to, I think, 14th, somewhere in that group right there. The car was difficult to turn. They made some adjustments, and even though he's making up all this ground, he says, man, I just can't go like I did earlier today. So some more adjusting yet to be done on Dale's car.
But he's picked his way back up to the 13th position now. Racing for 13th with Joey Logano.
Yeah, it looks like they still have a solid day going and can make something of it. Inside that top 10 would be a very good day. I know they want a little more out of it, but they're looking at the point situation right now as much as anything.
And remember, some of that track position lost by taking 4 tires, and some guys that were behind them didn't. So, option for them next time, maybe try and get some of that track position back the other way. Denny Hamlin back on pit road. Not good.
We have a flat. What is happening? Tires on, take it to the garage.
All right, we'll follow up on the Hamlin story in a minute. Another round of green flag pit stops on the way. Jeff Gordon leads with 70 laps to go in the Pure Michigan 400.
We're back at Michigan International Speedway, 134 laps complete, and you are looking at the leader, Jeff Gordon, followed closely by Matt Kenseth. Lap leaders today, Greg Biffle has led 86 of them. He's mired back in traffic now after some pit strategy. He took 4, others took 2. We've seen 16 lead changes, and only a couple of cautions. Kyle Busch is still your leader. Following up on a couple of stories we talked about earlier and the strength of Brad Keselowski, currently running 4th.
Yeah.
And just continuing to build on the momentum that he already has.
Has had an outstanding past couple of weeks as far as racing the race car. You know, he's road Atlanta testing. He has showed some real resilience. I tell you what, though, the thing that's been interesting about him, he's talking about his car getting a little bit loose because we've been listening to him. It's going to be interesting to see if he can hang on to that race car, been a little banged up.
In fact, he was just talking to Paul Wolfe over his radio. He may be having a few problems in the cockpit.
Long way pit, man. I'm getting really loose now. Almost feels like I got a flat. Need less than 10. Less than 10. You're doing fine. If you have to get up a little bit of time, you have plenty of room.
We will be seeing some pit stops coming up in just a few laps. It will be interesting to see if they make any adjustments. If you were with us earlier, we also talked a lot about Carl Edwards. At this particular track, he was the best driver. 6.2 average finish. He was the guy, the Michigan master. Now he's running in 36th and 28 laps down.
Yeah, some type of engine problem. They brought the car to the garage, they opened the hood, they worked on it, really made some major changes, valve springs, spark plug wires, things like that. But the car's back up running good right now, but he's 28 laps down right now in 36th.
And green flag pit stops. Here we go. Doc, you're with the 5.
We'll have to make one more stop. Mark Martin, left side of your screen, watching the leader, right side. Right side, tires number Martin had taken only right side the previous time. The car not handling well, still loose on exit. Also on pit road, the 22 car of Kurt Busch. Remember, he bounced it off that turn 1 wall and had to pull the fender out. There's a damage on the right side of the car. He is down and away, just a hit over 15 seconds. Car of Ryan Newman. The car has been very tight all day. They made an adjustment last time, and now it's gotten too loose. Air pressure change, chassis adjustment, 4 tires for Ryan Newman, trying to hang on to a top 10 spot in the point standings. 8th in the points, one of the solid top 10 finish today. Good pit stop for the 39, 13 seconds. Here's the 14 car, Vince.
Tony Stewart says it's just a little free, center off. They made a 4-tire change for the 14 of Tony Stewart.
48 car in, Jimmy Johnson said the car is not happy at the top of the racetrack, not happy at all. He said, I need a little more help turning in the middle of the corner, but I cannot give up the entry. 4 tires for Jimmy Johnson. Let's check in on the 2 car, Jamie.
And you heard Brad Keselowski saying he's loose now. He felt like he had a flat. He wanted this pit stop. He said he needs drive up and off. 4-tire stop for Brad.
17 car of Kenseth is in. It'll be a 4-tire change. He was still loose. Only air pressure changed, so the changes have already been made for Matt.
The 18 car of Kyle Busch says it's just a little snug center off. They're going to go back up a quarter round on the track bar. A right front air pressure adjustment as well for the 18 of Kyle Busch. Jamie Little.
And you see the high cam there on Jeff Gordon, who gave up the lead. Fill it up with fuel, 4 tires. He was extremely loose as you see him side by side with Kyle Busch. Alan?
And that is going to be the race for the lead after this exchange of pit stops. Right there, those 3 cars.
Just impressive what Kyle Busch did. He was almost 2 seconds behind Jeff Gordon at the time. Made up a lot of time getting on to pit road, and then his pit crew once again doing a fantastic job, Andy.
Both crews did a good job right there on the stops. The difference really was that getting down on pit road. See, Kenseth, though, he pitted a lap earlier than these two, and he's out in front.
Comes Kyle Busch trying to get by Jeff Gordon while he's got these fresh tires.
So 61 laps to go, a round of fast and frantic green flag pit stops. Matt Kenseth will come away with the race lead. There's the race for second. The way Kyle Busch was at the end of that last run, don't count on him not having the lead in just a little while. 18 car is flying. Still a good bit of ground to go, though, as the race off of pit road turned out to be the race for the lead. By that much, Matt Kenseth is back out in front. Ever-changing picture here in Michigan. Cloud cover back over the speedway again, and Jeff Gordon back out in front of the race as we look to see who's in contention to race for $3 million in the Sprint Summer Showdown presented by the HTC Evo 3D. Of course, Gordon, a lot of success at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. If he can win today and then go on to win at Atlanta, Jeff, a fan and a charity designated by Jeff, would each win $1 million. Paul Menard, Brad Keselowski, Marcos Ambrose, all qualified already. Entering now at sprint.com/speed. Jeff Gordon would not be a bad pick.
I would put that $3 million in jeopardy there if Jeff wins today. He really is good at Atlanta.
Yeah, I don't think you can count Brad Keselowski out of an opportunity to win that too. He's sitting there in 4th. Very fast car here.
So as we went to commercial, Matt Kenseth and Jeff were there fighting for the lead. Here's how the pass happened.
It took Jeff's car about 2 laps to build up a little bit of air pressure, and then he came strong when he did.
Thank you, I'll take that.
Yeah, that's a nice steam under the hood.
And here comes Kyle Busch.
Yeah, not sure that Matt Kenseth is totally happy with his race car right now. He beat these guys off pit road, but once they got back on the track, it hasn't been quite as strong. But those are 2 very fast race cars that's gone by.
What are they saying about that 17, Dave?
It's Matt that's doing the talking, and he used 4 reallys, and then he said loose. So they were loose. They made an air pressure adjustment, but now he said really, 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 really loose.
How loose is that, Dave?
Yeah, that's on a scale of loose to loose, it's really loose.
All right. And again, the changing weather conditions. Here come the clouds again. That going to help him or not?
Well, what's going to help him more than anything is if he can kind of maintain this spot as the car's taking that air off the front end, will tighten his race car up.
So Matt sliding back to 3rd position. But as we look at our DirecTV NASCAR head-to-head knockout, Matt and A.J. Allmendinger today. Matt looking good to advance in that competition. Started with 32 drivers, looking to whittle it down to the final 4, the fastest 4. Check that, to go race it out at Bristol next week. Bracket predictions, giving you a chance to win $1 million each, and of course drivers racing for a charity of their choice. So Kenseth right now with the upper leg on Allmendinger in the DirecTV NASCAR head-to-head knockout.
So when you have a car that loose here, talk about Matt Kenseth, talk about his, you have to get a little more of a grip on the steering wheel, because carrying over 200 miles per hour down into these corners, the car starts to be a little bit free and you just can't turn the wheel. Very stressful time, but I would think as the air pressure builds up, that may help this car some. And just as you were talking, Andy, you get a little bit of air off of the front end. That'll certainly help him too. But you see Matt doing a little more turning right than what you actually want to do coming off the corner here.
Yeah, we've seen Jeff Gordon's in cars, and he's got a lot more turn to the left than his, and he's out front.
So Kenseth and company with some work to do on what could be just one final pit stop left in this race if we stay green a lot. Talking about Jeff Gordon and accomplishments and that kind of thing, chasing the 85th win. Just a few laps ago, he went over the 22,000 laps led mark in his career.
That's a lot of laps to run, much less lead. Makes me tired thinking about all that. He's done a terrific job. I see Dale Jr. on the move once again. Trying to take that 11th spot from Tony Stewart. Two guys battling for those final 2 spots in the top 10. Make the chase.
Yeah, 9th and 10th in points as the day started and as they run. Hanging in those positions, but again, still a lot of races left to go. Denny Hamlin has come back onto the racetrack. Jamie, what were they fixing?
Well, they took him back to the garage. Of course, you know, you heard he hit the wall, right front damage. I asked Mike Ford, his crew chief. He said the splitter bar cut the tire down, but there was no serious damage to the shock or rotor or anything else. His driver's frustrated, but that crew chief is hot right now, guys. The last 3 races, 27th, 15th, 36th. If they want to get in the chase, they needed to perform today.
And Jamie, that's kind of continuing a trend. Hamlin's had only one top 10 finish since he won here, June 19th.
Not going to get it today. He's 15 laps down.
So Denny Hamlin looking to get this thing turned around when we get to Bristol next week, if he can, because Michigan's not going well for him today. The NASCAR Sprint Cup Series racing at the Michigan International Speedway in the Pure Michigan 400. Make sure to go to NASCAR.com for all your latest NASCAR information. A little past 3/4 of the way through today's race. Jeff Gordon out in front of Kyle Busch by 0.8 of a second, with still another round of pit stops for all of them if the race were to run green from here to the finish. Kyle Busch making a nice rally of some lost track position when his team went for 4 tires and a lot of others only went for 2 earlier in the race. Kyle marching his way now all the way back up to the number 2 position. And Matt Kenseth, who led off the pit lane a moment ago, has now slipped back to 3rd, 1.9 seconds behind race leader Jeff Gordon. Some other stories to touch on and some other players that have come back into the mix as we run into the later laps. Jimmy Johnson talked earlier about one of the few racetracks he's not won at yet.
Yeah, it's very surprising with speed this race car and this team always has. But again, they've been in position a few times to just fuel has gotten them a couple of other times. He's got a fast race car on this run.
Jimmy making a nice rally, Doc, after a little hiccup that forced an extra pit stop earlier in the day.
Indeed he is, Alvin, and I asked, you saw the graphic a moment ago, I asked Chad Canals about, hey, you guys have run so well here, why haven't you won at Michigan? He said just what DJ said, we've been close every time we come here, we've run well, we've had gas, been an issue a couple of times, but as a moment ago, Jimmy said, Chad, the car is the best it has been all day. I just got to figure a way to get to the front. Jimmy liking what he's got. Jamie.
And behind him, Brad Keselowski. They just had a little chit-chat, he and his crew chief, Paul Wolf. Brad said, hey, I need some help here. This car is not getting better. And Paul said, we've worked on both ends. Nothing's worked. What do you want? He said, we're dragging the splitter the first 10 laps. Then we're sideways loose after that. So expect a big change, a big adjustment coming up. Doc.
Likewise, a final pit stop for Mark Martin, a 52-year-old driver who would love to be able to win today and maybe get another win and somehow get this car into the chase. Mark said the car was loose the first half of the race, and now he's been battling tight the second half. And he said, ridiculous tight. Exact quote from Mark Martin. They got one more chance to adjust it to free him up here on the final stop. Dave.
Crew Chief Kenny Francis told me this morning, Casey Kane likes to be able to look left and have the car turn. That's a loose condition. Well, that's a razor's edge, too. And today he's been just a little too free. That's the condition now. He just got passed by Mark Martin.
How about a driver with a lot of pressure on him? Clint Bowyer came in today 11th in the point standings, started back in 33rd position. Why? Because he said the car was so tight in qualifying, he couldn't get it to turn. But he has driven this car all the way up into the top 10. That's exactly what they've got to have, top 10 finishes. On the last pit stop, Clint said the car was a little bit loose early on, but it came to him as the run went on. Dave.
Hey, Doc, before that last round of pit stops, Junior was running 12. They made a good pit stop, made no no changes to the race car, and he's driven back up to the 9th position. He is getting a challenge from Biffle right now. It looks like he's going to give way to Greg Biffle, but Junior's car handling very well for him right now. He says it's pretty decent.
And Greg Biffle behind him started on pole, his first this year, and here battle for the lead up front. Jeff Gordon is checking out. Meanwhile, Greg Biffle, though, they made that call to take 4 tires, 2 pit stops ago. It could have been the wrong call. He slipped back, lost 9 positions. And look at Kyle Busch, blows past the 24, guys. This is some good racing up front. Let's go back to Doc.
Great battle up front between Toyota and Chevrolet at the front of the field. How about an update on the 39 car there? Let's watch this. 24 trying to come back to the high side. Jeff Gordon trying to get back by Kyle Busch. And the fans are loving it here at Michigan. Gordon is the leader.
All right, Doc, thanks. We'll check back with you on Ryan Newman here in a bit. But Kyle Busch, what a run he got. Looked like Gordon ran up on David Ruderman and maybe had to hesitate a bit, and Kyle tried to pounce.
Yeah, it looked like he just had to come out of the throttle a little bit, down into 1, lost a little momentum. Kyle Busch took advantage of that for a split second.
That final round of pit stops not far away. Check on the AT&T Fastest Pit Crew of the Year award. Paul Menard currently in the lead. You can help determine the standings. Vote from your AT&T phone by texting the car number of your favorite to 234-567 for the pit crew you think is the fastest and most valuable.
Back at Michigan International Speedway, money stop for the 48. Final stop for the day. Jimmy Johnson has never won at Michigan on pit road, and now the caution flag is waving as Johnson is down and away. Johnson makes his final stop. Everyone else can make their stop under yellow.
And the 48 will stay on the racetrack when they do. That might just put Jimmy Johnson to the lead.
Yeah, that was a good break for the 48 team.
Finally, something went right.
Yeah, buddy, that was a good one, Chad. Now, wait a minute, I might have to question that. Finally something. They've had 5 pretty good years.
There's the reason for the caution. The 36 car of Dave Blaney was coasting very slowly around the racetrack and was going to be coming onto pit road, coasting at a very slow speed while guys were diving off at full speed to make green flag pit stops. That could have gotten ugly.
It was going to be a very, very dangerous situation. This was a good move by NASCAR to throw that caution because you can kind of see this storm brewing, and they just kind of headed it off.
So, 4th caution of the race. Going to give David Ruderman the Aaron's Lucky Dog free pass. He's the first car not on the lead lap at the moment.
Everybody can make it from here, so Jimmy Johnson has made his last pit stop that he will have to make for fuel. All these other cars will come down this time.
There's David Ruderman, just behind the leaders here at the caution. Just before the caution, Martin Truex, A.J. Allmendinger, Kevin Harvick, Regan Smith, Joey Logano, and Jimmy Johnson had been on the pit lane.
And the only 2 that stayed on the lead lap, it looks like, is Jimmy Johnson and Joey Logano. Looks like the other cars did go a lap down. They'll probably opt for the wave around when we get the one to go.
And have to be very honest, Andy, I'm not sure whether Logano stopped in his pit or not. Or
he may have gone back out.
So we'll have to double check. Crucial pit stops that'll come with 31 to go, Dave.
3rd place, Matt Kenseth split the corner into 3 parts. He is loose, tight, loose. They will make a track bar adjustment and air pressure adjustment to the right front tire. Take air out of that. Track bar will go down. Vince?
The 18 of Kyle Busch, his car has been so good throughout the course of the day, but now he says it's just a little bit snug in the center. They talked about a track bar adjustment. They are going to make the track bar and a 4-tire change for the 18 of Kyle Busch. Jamie?
And the 2 of Brad Keselowski, remember, he was having some problems. They wanted this stop to count. They wanted to make an adjustment. Air pressure adjustment was the call. 4 tires. Jeff Gordon, on the other hand, said he needs to pick up the throttle sooner. 4 tires for him. Race off pit road. And it looks like the 17.
Coca-Cola race off pit road. Matt Kenseth's team getting it done again. Got the lead on the last set of pit stops. But Jimmy Johnson did not come down pit road. The picture has changed late in the going today here at Michigan. Kenseth off pit road first, but he's going to have to contend with Jimmy Johnson on this restart. Getting ready for a sprint to the finish today in Michigan, and remind you that later on, over on ABC, the American Le Mans Series race from Road America, 4:30 Eastern Time. And tonight on ESPN2, Lucas Oil NHRA Nationals, presented by Lucas Oil at 10 Eastern Time. NASCAR Now wraps up the Michigan and Montreal race weekend Monday at midnight Eastern Time, ESPN2. And then it's on to Thunder Valley, Bristol Motor Speedway for the Nationwide Series Friday, ESPN, and the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series Saturday on ABC. Remember, for the rest of the season where the Sprint Cup Series is concerned, day race, it's ESPN, night race, it's on ABC. That's how simple it'll be to keep it sorted out. So we're getting ready for a 28-lap sprint to the finish. Jimmy Johnson on pit road for his scheduled final stop before the caution waved, stayed on the racetrack. Matt Kenseth first off pit road on the caution flag stops, lines up alongside him. Johnson leading for the first time in this race. Couple of wave around cars, Montoya, Harvick, Regan Smith, Truex, Allmendinger, all had pitted just before the caution came out, or most of them had pitted just before the caution. A couple of them haven't stopped yet, and I was correct, Joey Logano didn't stop in his pit. He came back in under the caution flag and is now back in traffic. Here we go, 28 laps left. I don't know why I always want to hold my breath coming off of turn two until they sort that out.
I was literally holding my breath, waiting to see what was going to happen here.
And you're doing the same thing in the race car. I can promise you. It's very tense moments, but a lot of fun. See Jamie McMurray up on the high side already trying to make some ground.
Got fresh tires, got fuel to the finish. Now you really got to go.
It's like Greg Biffle's gotten back in the mix again. Had a good pit stop there.
Looking inside Gordon. That car will act a little bit better. Once he got back in traffic, Biffle really couldn't go anywhere. Gordon not willing to give that spot up right now.
Here comes Brad.
That big charge off that high side.
Yeah, this is just going to be drivers now in these last 27 laps just trying to find some clean air where they can make the most time and get going. You see Jimmy Johnson's got all the clean air out front. First time we've seen him out there today. Whoa, close off of 4.
Three wide, now back to 2 wide. Sound like a spotter up on the roof. Inside, outside.
But Jamie McMurray doesn't have to worry about anybody saying outside of him. You can see him up against the wall up in front of this crowd.
Kyle Busch, 18, on the move for second place if he can clear Matt Kenseth.
I think Kyle Busch has the best car in the long run situation right here.
Look at Gordon get a real good bite up off the bottom.
Can he make it stick?
So I think for Kyle to have a chance at winning is what I was going to say is he needs this to go green till the end.
Brad gets aggressive too. Look at this, Kenseth down on the bottom.
They might not get to the end running like this. Wow, what a move that was by Kenseth.
Yeah, watch this though.
Get loose right here. It's going to be loose.
Here comes Brad with another big run. What's he going to do with it? He's going to push
spot
Kenseth.
do you take? He likes that higher side a little better. Pushes right by Gordon.
He's going to use that high line off turn 4 now. Matt's taking it away from him.
He'll be able to push by Gordon again, though. Fastest part of the racetrack right here.
When something like that happens, when you're Gordon and Keselowski goes up and bump drafts the guy you're racing with and helps nudge him by you, you kind of like the guy in the rush hour traffic that the other guy doesn't want to let in line when you're merging off the ramp. Why you?
Yeah, something like that. Language might be a little stronger as we see Dale Jr. and Mark Martin battling for position here. But you'll also remember that if a situation gets reversed here.
Saw that trash that was on the grill of the 88 car blow off when he tucked up behind Martin in the 5.
Dale Jr.'s up in the 9th spot. Been a good solid day. See, once again, Biffle's car just not performing unless it was out front today.
Ryan Newman right there in the mix too for this position.
Wow, look at Junior, made it 3 wide, going to the bottom, trying to pass 2 at a time. And does it.
Or has he?
Mark Martin's
tight.
Wow.
We're talking about fractions of an inch right there.
Junior had a little block there. I think he believes he's a little faster than Mark. He wanted to make sure he stayed in front.
Either that or Mark was being an awfully good teammate and gave him a big push.
Well, Mark Martin's like that, so.
Kyle Busch checking out from what's now the race for third place to try and set off after Jimmy Johnson. Here's Keselowski in the 2, Kenseth in the 17, and Gordon. This is third, fourth, and fifth.
Well, just another impressive run by Brad Keselowski and this Dodge team. Been in the top 5 literally all day.
Jimmy Johnson was able to just drive away from this group while they were fighting among each other. That clean air really working for Jimmy in that 48.
Casey Kane, Tony Stewart, 11th and 12th place. Kurt Busch, Jeff Burton right behind them. Haven't talked much about Jeff Burton today. 31 car started pretty far back, 32nd in the field.
Yeah, tapped the wall one time. He's just not been, all that great, but he just hasn't been, terrible. He's hung in there all day, and now he's able to take advantage of looks like a pretty good car at this point.
Yeah, and unlike some other times this year when their car's been decent and they kind of were backsliding at the end of races, he seems to be in a little better position to take advantage of this today. David Reagan there on the high side, though, moving him back a spot for the time being.
I know it's one of your favorite sayings at Talladega, but you do want to be moving forward at the finish, right?
That's right.
How about that 31 car, Vince?
It's been an eventful day for him. You noted that he had some wall contact early. They've really been working on the race car to get it to be this good. And he's also said that the clouds and the sun have created some issues for the handling of the car. But right now they might be as happy with that 31 as they've been all day, trying to get a little momentum going. They haven't had much good break this year, but they are coming off the top 10 in Watkins Glen, their first top 10 of the season, believe it or not.
Yeah, that is hard to believe. McMurray, the big run there in the 1, excuse me.
Yeah, and Jeff Burton, but he's feeling much better. He knows as far as points or anything this year's lost, but they're making progress at the end of this year that will give them a lot of hope as they look to 2012. Oh, see Jeff Burton really loose off of 4 that time.
Watching this for 10th, 11th, and 12th. While we're watching stopwatches up here on the leaders. And Kyle Busch is making up some time on Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah, he's doing that. Brad Keselowski continues to hold off Matt Kenseth for that 3rd spot right now. If this 2 car's had a weakness today, it's after they get about 15 or so laps on their tires. They seem to fall off just a little bit. We'll see if he's able to hang on. I think that's when the car has started to get loose on him, and we'll see what effect that has as we get into these final 18 laps.
And Jamie, for one of the rare times today, full sun all the way around this 2-mile track.
That's right. It's been up and down, in and out of the clouds all day. But Brad Keselowski, DJ, he was saying he was rubbing that splitter on the track for the first 10, and then he got loose. But this is what he said now since the pit stop.
Holding on exit, dude. It's screaming loose.
And I was surprised on that pit stop. All they made was an air pressure adjustment to help the situation, and obviously it hasn't helped yet.
Well, he's definitely wheeling that car. You can see him putting that right steer off the corner.
My hands are sweating, and I'm not even driving it, watching this, because you just know the feel. Again, this is such a fast racetrack, and to have a car hung out like that, turning right literally from the center of the corner out.
I didn't know driving a race car could give you flashbacks.
See, they will put a little distance that time. He's moved up on the racetrack, and when you have a loose race car, if you can go up there, it will allow you to carry the momentum and then not have to turn the wheel as much, and so you can work with that loose situation a little bit better by running that higher side.
I hear that theme music from Jaws playing again in my head.
Look at Kyle Busch. He is running down Jimmy Johnson.
Here he comes. Lap times faster than Jimmy's by a couple tenths of a second, each of about the last 4 or 5 laps, and he's run him down from a long way back.
It's like he's been experimenting with a completely different line than what Jimmy's running, because he knows when he gets there, Jimmy's going to take away anything he wants. So he's going to have to run something totally separate. And you can see right here, you can drive a truck between them.
Yeah, and I think Kyle's really, he knows that if Jimmy happens to try to move down there and block him, he can't go to the high side. He knows his car's that good. but he's really doing a great job getting to this point. Now he's got to pass him.
He's got stuff on his grill too.
Yeah, I was just going to point out that Jimmy and Kyle both have things on their grill, so temperatures, there's a long way to go in this race still. Have to keep an eye on that. And you see speeds at the line. Kyle faster than Jimmy again that last lap.
It looks like both of these cars have something on the grill. See something on Kyle's car too.
Is this the move?
I don't think you'll be able to complete the pass right here now, but he is continuing to work him. You have to be careful not to use up your tires in this situation too. As you try to get down, you have to turn the wheel a little bit more. That'll put a little more heat in those front tires. You want to be careful not to give it up right yet. Still a long way to go. So you see Jimmy Johnson wheeling that thing right in the center. The car bounced up a little bit on the free side.
Jimmy Johnson with only one win so far this season. Who'd have thought that?
Well, the chase hadn't started yet. You'll see this team really turn it up.
You see right there, Kyle didn't go all the way to the bottom of the racetrack. He used that lane up about a lane and a half, was able to keep a little better pace with the 48.
He's able to side draft now to actually get a nose out in front.
Yeah, that actually slowed him down. And watch him go to the bottom right here, I would think. That car just turns so good, and he can accelerate so much better. That's where he's beat everybody all day.
Johnson led at the stripe that last time by, so when Kyle comes past to officially take the lead, it'll be with 12 laps to go. And I know Jimmy, he's got to be just searching around, find a line, find something that's going to make that car go.
You can see right there, he got a good run up off the corner that time.
I think he was so intent as Kyle was catching him to make sure that Kyle wasn't able to get there and go around the high side. That might not be Jimmy's best place, as he found the middle of the racetrack there that last time. Now it's going to go to the very bottom. That's what's so great about this track.
And so if you're Kyle, you were talking about Jimmy, finding where Kyle's running, and so now Kyle's doing a little looking in the rearview mirror and making sure whatever line Jimmy's using to make ground on him.
It's like Mark Martin's car is peaking at the right time too. Mark now in the top 5.
And he's been among the top 3 fastest here for about the last 5 or 6 laps.
Yeah, this team really thought they had a good race car for this race after yesterday's practice.
See, still a little trash on the grill of that 24. I don't know if they're trying to work together to get that off or not, but it's getting down to the end of the race. It's only 10 to go. Would they be trying that right now, Jamie?
That's exactly it. It's choreographed. Jeff Gordon's yelling, saying it's flashing red. He's up over 260. He is loose as heck, and you see the debris is still there on the grill. His teammate Mark Martin trying to work with him, went around him to help. Now Mark's checking out and leaving Jeff high and dry up there with high temperatures.
I was going to say, it's getting down to 10 to go. I don't know how much I'm going to be doing that if I'm Mark.
Gotta go. Kurt Busch, Tony Stewart, David Reagan racing for 11th position, a little deeper in the field.
Kurt Busch just power slid off that corner right there.
David Reagan coming back with a nice run after that vicious hit at the end of the race on Monday. Kurt Busch in the wall.
He was dead sideways coming off the corner before.
Second time that's happened today for Kurt.
Didn't slow him down much.
And this for 9th place, Earnhardt Jr. and Casey Kane.
You're not going to be able to complete the pass as Kane had too much momentum coming off the corner. So just behind him, 6 and 22, still side by side.
Kurt Busch running up in the top 4 earlier in the race. Slipped back a little bit, got into the wall, fell back to just outside the top 10. That's where he's run for a while now.
And David Reagan was wanting to sneak up there in front of him. He probably waited a little bit too long to make that move. Kurt Busch had the momentum again, and you saw the 6 car get a little bit sideways, had to lift off of 2.
And remember that wreck for David Reagan at Watkins Glen. In order to be eligible to use a wild card to get into the chase, you got to be in the top 20 in points. The Watkins Glen wreck knocked him out. Right now, where he runs in this race for the moment, it would put him back in the top 20. Carl Edwards went to the garage area earlier in the race. Hood was up. They changed a variety of components under the hood of this car. Carl in 36th position now, cannot make up enough laps to gain any more spots, so he's probably headed for the garage shortly with that 99 car. Certainly he's not making minimum speed.
No. Jeff Gordon's still struggling. You can see him really loose, but it's allowed Clint Boyer to catch up to him, try to take that 6th spot away, and every one of these points, every one of these positions is really important to Clint Boyer in that 33.
Clint asked about every week at the racetrack in his weekly press conference, what about your contract? Where does it stand? What about your contract? He says, we're working on it. He says, and I credit him for admitting this, you know, you'd like not to think about it, you'd like to say it's not a distraction, but of course you think about it. It's your future.
It can't help but be a distraction. See David Reagan in the 6th finally get that spot away from the 22, Kurt Busch. But yeah, it is a distraction. You know, you try to put it aside whenever you get to the racetrack, in particular on the weekends, but it does take away from you being totally prepared in your mind, just thinking about the job at hand.
All right, so being told from pit road that Carl Edwards was slowing down to help Matt Kenseth right there get some trash off the grill of that 17 car.
I think it worked. I saw some trash flying on the backstretch. I don't know if it's off the grill or not.
And Carl will head to the garage now.
Carl, are you going to wait for me to try to get this paper off, or can't you do that?
Yes, we can do that, Matt. We just heard about it. Carl, slow down and get in front of the 17.
I'll get him.
There you go. And Carl will be done for the day with a 36th place finish. Mark Martin still marching forward.
It's been a nice solid run since they got that track position for Mark Martin by taking 2 tires back earlier in the race. Took him from 13th up to the lead of the race and ran in the top 5 then. They've tried to remain there most of the day, but a great job by Mark Martin, who has probably one of the best records at this racetrack of all the drivers.
That was a slide job.
Mark got a little bit loose though. Matt able to come back.
And yes, TJ, Mark Martin, a 5-time winner here.
Yeah, and I think I heard maybe 30 top 10s or something in his career at this racetrack, and just incredible.
Jeff Gordon, Clint Boyer fighting for a spot there as well. That's 6th and 7th. Kurt Busch
into the wall again.
Caution. Caution is out. Oh boy.
Yeah, Kurt's hurt that car this time.
What happened there? Well, right front tire.
Almost made it to the finish. He hit the wall again about 10 laps ago, and it looks like it probably just rubbed a hole.
Oh, wow.
Oh, man, that was a pretty big hit. That was probably from that contact earlier.
He was running 12th at the time. That hurts. And you know, this team is not guaranteed a spot in the chase, Kurt, so they can't afford really bad points days in these last few weeks. That hurts. Andy, I'm sitting here trying to decide in my mind. Fresh tires are worth some speed.
They are.
But we're going to be setting up for a green-white checker, and we've got 27 cars on the lead lap.
That's the problem. There's 27 cars on the lead lap. I'd be very reluctant to pit if I was in the top 3 or 4, 5, 6. But if I'm back there with no chance to win, I'm going to roll the dice.
That was my next question. They pitted right at the outside edge of that fuel window. So now you got to have enough fuel to get through the green-white checker.
Yeah, well, I think that tells us exactly what they're going to do. They're not coming in.
I'll bet you they haven't quite decided until they get to the end of pit road.
Yeah, I think it'd be hard to give that up because you know some of these drivers back further are going to stay out there and take a chance if that happens.
It's going to be very hard to give that up. But if I'm back there, I'm thinking, you know, even like Dale Jr., maybe Tony Stewart, but they don't need to gamble either.
Yeah, I'm not sure they can afford to do that.
Let's see. Pit road's open.
You can see some of those wanting to come. It's like Newman's going to be the first one.
He was in 8th place.
Wow.
This is gonna be interesting.
Oh boy, Dave, here they are.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. pitted from 10th. They figured they were about halfway through the lead lap cars, so 2 right side tires for Jr. Give him some more grip for the end of this race. See what he can get, Doc.
Ryan Newman coming in and rolling the dice. Remember what happened back in June? Fresh tires made a big difference inside of 10 laps to go. They made the pit stop right sides only for Ryan Newman.
Seeing a lot of that, right sides. There's Biffle, right sides. So first one in was Ryan Newman from 8th place. Oh, that's not a good way to be.
Yeah, he hit the wall coming into his pit stall. Slid sideways, that's where he wound up. He hit it, fairly good. Oh, got a little help. Why?
Wow. Lucky everybody got away cleanly there. So, while they work on this 9 car, on the racetrack, not pitting, are quite a few. You're going to have Kyle Busch, Jimmy Johnson, Brad Keselowski, Mark Martin, Matt Kenseth, Jeff Gordon, Clint Bowyer, Bobby Labonte. Those cars did not pit, and I'll check on David Ruderman because I believe he did not pit as well. Those 10 cars, they got 9 cars, did not pit. First guy with tires is going to be at least 5 rows back from the leader, but this is Michigan where they fan out 5 wide on the restarts. There's Brad Keselowski running 3rd, DJ.
Hey, Brad, Dale Jarrett, the ESPN. You have a copy?
10-4, what's up?
Well, how about you tell us about these restarts here? They always look like a lot of fun from up here in the booth. What do you got for those guys in front of you?
Well, they do look like a lot of fun, and they can be fun when you move forward, Dale, but I've been saving a little bit here. Kyle's been faster than I have, and my car's been kind of falling off on the long run, so I saved a little bit hoping this would happen, so we'll just have to see, Dale. I'm going to guess Kyle's going to pick the outside on the restart lane, and if he does, that's going to mean my success on the restart depends on Jimmy getting going. So we'll have to see what Jimmy's got, and we'll take it from there.
Well, we see full sun out now. Has this racetrack changed a lot throughout the day when we've had the clouds in the sun, and how is the track right now?
Yeah, it changes so much with the rubber that gets laid down on it, and the caution's coming, and we pick it all back up, and then you add the sun in it. But we've been adjusting on the Miller Lite Dodge all day, and I hope we got it here where it matters. But it's the best it's been right now, and I'll tell you what, I'm ready to go racing.
All right, buddy, you've done a great job. Good luck here in these last couple of laps.
4, thank you.
They will get the 1-to-go signal at the start-finish line this time.
I'll tell you one car I like on this restart is Mark Martin. He had a really fast car right before the caution came out. He's going to line up right behind Kyle Busch if Kyle takes the outside, which we assume he will.
It's going to get interesting because just what Brad was talking about there, and he was one of the drivers yesterday telling me about this rubber that gets on the racetrack, and it takes a couple of laps to get it off. He said it's just so slick on these restarts. So
yeah, we heard Brad say that too. How the rubber has affected their car.
Yeah, you have to be careful. You're going to have to go hard, so can't be too careful.
Let's hear from the 48 team, Doc.
And remember, we told you Jimmy Johnson has never won here, and Chad reminded me this morning we were talking about it, how they have lost twice on fuel mileage issues. Now, Jimmy asked Chad a moment ago, are we okay on fuel? And Chad said, yeah, we're fine, but save, buddy, save. Save me some gas, save me some gas. So I guess they're okay. The driver thinks they're fine, but I think Chad really wants him to save as much as they possibly can. Vince.
With Dave Rogers, crew chief for Kyle Busch. You guys had a nice lead and then the yellow. Any concerns on the restart?
Well, there's always a concern. Anything can happen. But pretty confident. This Interstate Batteries Toyota Camry's been real fast, and Kyle Busch has been doing a tremendous job driving the wheels off it. So hopefully we can clear the 48 here and go to victory lane, but we'll see.
In turn 3, guys, getting them ready.
Juan Pablo Montoya got the free pass. We have 27 cars on the lead lap. We're coming to the first attempt at a green-white checker finish. The race under caution at the conclusion of its scheduled distance, so they'll restart it. They'll run 2 laps. If the caution comes out before the field completes the first of those 2 laps, They'll start them all over again after they clean it up. If the leader takes the white flag, the next flag that waves ends the race. Kyle Busch on the outside, rallied back from a problem earlier in the race where he lost track position due to strategy. Jimmy Johnson rallied back from a problem earlier in the race where they had to make an extra pit stop, then was on pit road before the caution came out and got the race lead. They have 2 laps to go to settle it at Michigan. Contact back in the pack. So far, everybody's straight. Kyle Busch clears Johnson off of 2.
Yeah, he really side-drafted Johnson going down into 1 and held Jimmy's car, got him a little bit free. Jeff Burton back in the pack out of shape.
You got a lot of cars in the pack that have new tires. They're trying to do something with them. 4 wide.
Newman and Kane. Kane, one of those with fresher tires on the right side.
Newman also has 2 tires from that right side.
White flag.
White flag.
Next flag ends the race. Kyle Busch, 5 car lengths on Jimmy Johnson. Here's Mark Martin looking at the outside.
Jeff Gordon struggling off of turn 2 there. Might give up another spot here.
That's Ryan Newman with tires.
With a sense of urgency.
Keselowski trying to make a run on the inside.
Jamie McMurray scraping the wall as the field comes off the final corner. Kyle Busch, for the 4th time this year and the first time at Michigan, is going to take the checkered flag.
Wow, they were 4 wide back in the pack. Jeff Burton, Martin Truex.
What do you know? I finally win one. Yeah, boys, get to some of that.
Think he's happy? Hard racetrack to win on. He finally gets one.
So Kyle Busch scores the win, holding off the 5-time champion in the 2-lap shootout. Vince, the 18 team. Dave Rogers led what I was going to say. Clinches their place in the chase. They can't do any worse than the wild card with that 4th win.
Well, it certainly was a big win for this team. And remember, they were in such position to win the race a week ago at Watkins Glen, and it all blew up. How big of a shot in the arm is this win after last week?
Well, that's great. You know, Kyle Busch is the most competitive guy I've ever worked with, and he beat himself up more than he should have last week. You know, a better car won. You know, we had the 9-car beat on pit strategy, but he was a better car. But Kyle still took it personal, so this is good vindication for Kyle. But hey, what about Interstate Batteries? You know, our founding sponsor, Joe Gibbs Racing, finally got a win for Norm Miller. It's been so long. You know, when I started at Joe Gibbs Racing, Interstate was the only primary sponsor we had. And to be crew chief in the Interstate Batteries car today is such an honor. And thank you, Norm. Appreciate it, man.
Well done. The 18 in victory lane today.
Talk about Norm and Tommy Miller, who own the Interstate Batteries Corporation, great friends of Joe Gibbs, and they were the first sponsor there at Joe Gibbs Racing and started that team in 1992.
Kyle Busch providing our Goodyear winning moment today at Michigan with the burnouts in the bow and picking up his 4th checkered flag of the season. It was 6 days ago. He was the leader at the beginning of a green-white checker finish at Watkins Glen. He didn't win. He didn't even finish 2nd. This time he had the 5-time champion underneath him for that green-white checker restart, and he got it done. Kyle Busch going to victory lane at the end of the Pure Michigan 400. Post-race coverage coming up. Victory lane at the Michigan International Speedway, right out front where all the grandstand fans can see. The photographers have surrounded Kyle Busch, who's getting ready to celebrate his 4th win of this season. He's in victory lane with Vince Welch.
Kyle Busch climbing out of the Interstate Batteries car and celebrating his first victory here at Michigan International Speedway, and he gets that win in the Sprint Summer Showdown as well, so he'll be eligible for that big bonus at Atlanta. His 4th win of the season, and he did it in dramatic fashion. You had a comfortable lead until that yellow came out, so what's going through your mind as you get ready to restart with 5-time next to you?
Same as the last 4 weeks in a row, really, or 3, whatever it's been. But, man, it's so awesome to finally win here at Michigan, and get Toyota into victory lane here at Michigan. Feels good, being so close to Detroit and everything. And so I can't say enough about Norm Miller, everybody at Interstate Batteries. This was a flawless Camry. I mean, everybody at Joe Gibbs Racing, all these guys on this team, the guys at the JGR engine room gave me a great motor today. Great power, great fuel mileage. Thing was running 260 there with about 10 to go for about 10 laps or so, and I'm like, man, I hope we make it. I had trash on the grill or something, but can't say enough about Sprint, being in the Sprint Summer Showdown. Hopefully we get a chance at Atlanta and to run up front there and win the thing and bring home some extra money for charity, for a fan, and for all of us here at JGR.
Put in perspective how flawless your day was, and I know how good the race car was at the beginning of the weekend. Then you guys had some problems finding where you needed it to be, and then it was near perfect today.
Yeah, it's just the guys did a great job. We unloaded well, and we had a fast car, but it would only run the top, and so I qualified up top, and everybody was wondering why, but that's the place I can only make speed today, or Friday. Yesterday we worked on trying to get it to run around the bottom a little bit. We got really loose doing that, so we went back and got it to where I could run the top, and today I could run the bottom and I could run the top. So just had to move around. You just had to figure things out, Can't say enough about the fans. Appreciate their support and appreciate NOS Energy Drink. Gillette, Marquis Jets, the fans, again, just great to be here in Victory Lane at Michigan, and we clinch our chase berth, so I can't say enough about all our folks at M&M's. And again, everybody in Interstate Batteries, we appreciate you.
Not that it was in doubt, but how comforting is it to have that spot in the chase clinched and looking ahead to the championship?
It's awesome. That's what we wanted. We wanted to make sure that we could come out here and win races and have the opportunity to go out for broke. And there I thought about coming down pit road, and I'm like, you know what, we might as well just stay out and see if we can't just get it done and hold the guys off rather than come from behind. So, we felt like that was our given opportunity, that our best opportunity to try to win the race. And given we did everything right, we would be able to come out with it. So, again, it's awesome to be here in Victory Lane. Thanks, Sprint, M&M's, Interstate Batteries, all our partners.
Kyle Busch, the winner at Michigan International Speedway.
And Andy, you talked earlier about that money being in danger at Atlanta.
Oh, yeah, it's in real danger now.
I think it's in danger at Atlanta.
It's going to be hard to get it away from Kyle Busch.
And Kyle Busch going to be looking for a big jackpot on that Sunday night of Labor Day weekend after a big win today here at Michigan. Kyle in Victory Lane. We'll hear from more drivers when we come back to the Irish Hills in a moment. As the race to the chase continues to wind down, now 3 races to go until the field is set for NASCAR's chase for the championship and the Sprint Cup. And here's how they look after Kyle Busch picks up his 4th win of the season. Carl Edwards, with the mechanical troubles today, dropped him a little bit down. Brad Keselowski picked up 43 points on 10th place in the last 4 races. That's still a long way to go to just make the top 10, Andy.
Yeah, but he is steaming that way. I'm telling you, it's this incredible run that they've had.
Greg Biffle leading the most laps today, but not winning. Denny Hamlin had a tough day here as well. Let's talk with some of the top finishers. Dave has Jimmy Johnson.
And with as much as Jimmy Johnson has done in his career, it's hard to find a first for him, but how about a career best at the Michigan International Speedway? Second today, Jimmy. Talk about racing Kyle and everybody else today.
Yeah, great finish for the Lowe's team. Very proud of the effort, and can't thank all the employees of Lowe's enough for their support and to combine this race team over the years. We had a tough start to the race on pit road and on the racetrack, but we got that stuff ironed out and had great stops from then on and got the car underneath me. It was just really loose at the start of the race. And I drove up through the field, and Chad made a great call to get me to pit road before the caution came out, gave us a shot at the win. But once I was up front in clean air, the balance of the car was a bit too loose. I got away from Kyle, but I was loose, and I knew he was going to come at some point, and he showed up. So disappointed I didn't win, but very good effort for the Lowe's team, especially when you look at where we started the race, where we finished.
How much of that, the gains you made during the day, and then where the car was at the end, can you apply and make yourself and the car better for the chase coming up?
Yeah, I mean, good runs put so much confidence in the driver and in the team. There's a lot of sleepless nights in the garage area when you're practicing on Saturday and trying to make the right decisions to a Sunday race. And the more good runs you have, the more confidence you build in your decision-making process and the things you do to your race cars. So very, proud of the effort, and felt good to be up there racing with the leaders and had a shot at it.
Jimmy Johnson, nearly the winner here today at Michigan.
Well, Jeff Gordon had a solid day. He reached the 22,000 laps led mark in your career, but better yet, you finished 6th, led 30 laps today. Where did the handling really go away for you, though, Jeff?
Well, I think we were really good in clean air, and when we got out front, we were able to show that. I think Kyle was the best car, and he won the race, but I felt like we were the second best car, and when we got the lead, we could really show that. There at the end, I just didn't get clear of the 17, and then the 2 got in there, and when that happened, it just killed us. We got real tight behind those guys. Then we got a bunch of debris on the grill that started messing with us, and the temps were going up. We got loose, but hey, all in all, a solid day for our DuPont Chevrolet. I love the effort and what kind of race cars, a race team that we're bringing to the racetrack right now. It's a lot of fun out there, and I thought we were going to be a little bit better than that, and at times we were. But right there at the end, I think we just need a little bit better track position. So I guess I didn't do a good enough job on the restart.
Alan Gustafson, your crew chief, told me this morning, hey, we have a cushion in the points in 7th. We're just going out to win this race. How much fun is it to just go out and concentrate on winning without the repercussions taking you out of potential chase?
Yeah, I don't know if we ever stop focusing on winning, but I agree you can take some more risk and take more chances in this position, and I hear that we moved up even another spot in the points. So, I just love the consistency and solidness of this team right now and the position that we're in to go get those wins. And, we got one more before, we can qualify for that Sprint Million, and we really want to make a fan a millionaire out there and get $1 million for our charity as well. So hopefully we can get that done at Bristol.
All right, Jeff Gordon brings it home 6th.
With that 3rd place finish, Brad Keselowski is now a career best 12th in Sprint Cup points. How do you feel about the day?
Well, that's great. That's what I was going to ask you, where we're at in points, but good effort. We didn't have anything for the 18. He was really fast, and I really was surprised we were able to get by the 17 and 16. I think those 2 were both better than we were in the 24, but solid run. All in all, we executed really well today as a team and kind of outfinished what we had for speed, so we need to come back and work on getting just a touch more speed for these style places, but a great day, great execution, and proud of my team.
How do you feel now about your wild card position, Brad?
I think we're in pretty good shape. A guy that needed to win today from a wild card perspective didn't, and we're running out of races. And we're up there far enough in points to where if another guy does win it, it will hopefully kind of nullify it. So we'll just have to see how that plays out, but feeling better every week.
It's on all their minds. A strong day for Brad Keselowski.
A 3rd straight top 3 finish. That's
not
bad.
Yeah.
Not bad. And a home track race for Brad Keselowski, who was our in-race reporter today. Kyle Busch and team celebrating in victory lane, mixing conversations of top finishers in the race and those with a lot at stake to try and make the chase. Dr. Punch is with Tony Stewart.
Well, Tony Stewart needed a top 10 finish at Michigan today, and Tony, you got it. I know it had to be a bit frustrating. You hope to run better.
Yeah, I don't know what we got to do to get one balanced for a day, but we haven't figured it out yet. So we were on both sides of the coin all day long, just back and forth between tight and loose. So just take what we can get, I guess.
You stayed 10th in the point standings. Handicap, if you would, the next 3 races and your shot to get in a chase.
I'll be perfectly honest. At this point of the deal, if we're going to run this bad, it really doesn't matter whether we make the chase or not, because we're going to be occupying a spot in the chase that somebody else that actually can run for a championship is going to be trying to take, because our stuff's so bad right now that we're wasting one of those top 12 spots right now.
All right, Tony Stewart very frustrated about not running better, although he gets a top 10 finish here at Michigan.
Ryan Newman started in the top 5. He finished 5th today. Ryan, talk to us about your day.
We started off good. We were really tight on entry, and I made the mistake sliding through pit road, and we lost a bunch of spots that way. But a really good team effort. We were in the right position to make the 2-tire call and got the track position on the restart there, starting 10th, and just had a good enough restart to make it to the top 5. So good run for the Wicks Filters Chevrolet. I have to thank Wicks and all the people there from Wicks for helping us out and sponsoring us this race, and we'll go get them in Bristol.
You gained a spot in the points. Talk to us about your feelings heading toward the chase now.
Well, that's one thing. I mean, we gained on the guys behind us too, and that's the other part of it. We're as far into the chase right now as we were out last year, and we only got a few races left. So we're in a good position. Try to get a good next few races, and then we'll have a better shot at the championship.
Good day to be in a great spot, Alan.
Yes, it was. Solid run for Ryan Newman, if not the result he was hoping for, and 5th place effort today. Remember, he was the highest guy that stopped on that caution just before the green-white checker and put a couple of fresh tires on his Chevy. So next week it's on to Bristol, a little short track racing in Thunder Valley. Then that $3 million on the line, the Sprint Summer Showdown at Atlanta, and then the final race to determine the places in the chase at Richmond. All of those racetracks with tickets available for these upcoming races. NASCAR.com/tickets or that phone number if you'd like to join us at the track. And then, of course, the chase itself begins, and we run those 10 races to determine who'll be champion. Clint Boyer, one of those guys trying to race his way into the championship. What a great drive he had today, Dave.
Clint Boyer, 8th place finish today, 11th in points, Clint. So what does that tell you about your team after this run today?
Well, it was a good, hard-fought battle all day long. Man, that caution came out there at the end. I was like, oh, man. You know, I didn't think we'd made the right call, but we was able to hold off those guys with tires there. For where we started, you know, starting 35th, you know, getting inside the top 10 and running up there most of the second half of the race. You know, we just had a good car all weekend long. We failed to qualify good. We got to get better at that. We just didn't get, you know, we didn't gain enough points. That's the biggest problem is we gain, but not near enough. We're running out of time, but if we keep digging, who knows what's going to happen.
Great finish to a not so great starting of the day.
Yeah, Dave, Clint Boyer started the race in 35th position, and he wound up in the top 10 at the end of the day. Show you the finishing order now from today's Pure Michigan 400. Obviously, Kyle Busch the winner, since we're showing you a picture of them celebrating with the trophy.
Yeah, a couple things hit me on this is Jimmy Johnson's team, how they turned it around in the middle of the race. They were not very good at all. They came in, took a spring rubber out of the right rear, really lit that car up, and then they just worked their magic from there.
Yeah, and another solid run for Brad Keselowski. You know, we're talking about this team making the chase, and I know that we have to continue to do that right now. I think we need to switch it. Can they win the championship?
Matt Kenseth lost a bunch of spots on that green-white checker, kind of fell victim to the guys with fresher tires. Earnhardt Jr. 14th. Jeff Burton.
The other surprise for me was how Greg Biffle was not able to hold on to his car for a decent finish today.
Yep.
Kevin Harvick, not the day that he was looking for, got into the wall and had a few other issues with a lug nut missing that got him back in the pack, so not what they were looking for at 22nd today.
Last one on the lead lap was 27th place. Marcos Ambrose, Kurt Busch did not finish the race after popping the wall twice during the day. Carl Edwards with the engine problems. Denny Hamlin, remember, went behind the wall for a time after hitting the wall as well, and he winds up finishing in 35th position, so not the day that Hamlin and the 11 team were looking for here at Michigan. That's how they finished today in the Pure Michigan 400. So Kyle Busch, the only driver today to clinch his place in the chase, and he picks up his 4th win, those important bonus points when they reseed for the championship. And while he celebrates in victory lane, Mark Martin is thinking about a 4th place finish today, Dave.
Mark Martin with his 4th place finish. I'm sorry to say just the second top 5 this season, but for you that must be a great feeling, Mark, finishing up there today.
It's an incredible privilege to drive stuff like that, and thanks to Hendrick Motorsports, great race car and a tremendous engine. But Lance McGrew and all the guys on the CarQuest Auto Parts Chevrolet did a great job too. GoDaddy.com as well. They really had a fast race car all weekend, and it's just a privilege to get to race at Michigan International and drive fast stuff. Had a fast truck on Saturday and a really fast car today, and we were right there and could see the lead. And you know, anytime you can see the lead, you've got a crack at it. I feel very fortunate.
Mark saw it, he had a crack at it, and finished in the 4th place today.
All right, Dave, thanks. And as the fans begin to file out of the Michigan International Speedway with Dale and Andy, we've talked about a lot of stories today. Guys making great rallies, guys who maybe didn't get the finishes they were hoping for. Who impressed you the most in this 400-miler?
I'm going to go with the guy that won the race, Kyle Busch. Was very patient early on. I didn't think he had the car exactly where he wanted. They made a few adjustments those first couple of times. And now we're seeing a Kyle Busch that can take a car like that, not get impatient, and end up in victory lane. So I think that he has to be considered as one of the favorites for the championship because of days like this.
Yeah, I think he's going to be dangerous when the chase comes, just for the reason you said. But the 48 team is just now kind of getting in that chase groove. I saw it today. They turned that car around. They didn't have that great a car, and now they turned it into a 2nd-place finish. This is the kind of things that he's won 5 championships doing.
And looking ahead at some of the upcoming races, Brad Keselowski, another great run. He's already eligible for the Sprint Summer Showdown. Kyle Busch made himself eligible today. That Atlanta race Sunday night Labor Day weekend could be a lot of fun, and that $3 million could well get passed out.
It's going to be interesting to see who that last participant is going to be at Bristol. who's going to take the money there.
Yeah, and we've got a number of drivers that can obviously make that happen. So if they're going to put the money up, let somebody take it and do something good with it. So $3 million out there.
A lot of interesting little subplots going on in and out of these next few races. The race to get a place in the chase, the race for seedings. Oh, and by the way, the race at Bristol next week, too. Will be a lot of fun, and yeah, more than a few dollars on the line here in these final weeks of the season. So Kyle Busch and company celebrating their win on what was a pretty eventful day here at Michigan, Nicole.
It's too bad we just have nothing to talk about after these races. For Rusty Wallace and Brad Doherty, what stood out to you the most?
I got to say, the Roush front row, those guys were strong all day long, only to have little problems and finish a little bit farther back in the pack. Carl Edwards is probably the one who had the biggest tough time today, finished in 36, dropping a couple spots in the points. He had a fast car throughout the day, but had a problem.
A lot of close calls on pit road today. We saw Jimmy Johnson there have issues. Casey Kane also had a few issues. And then, of course, there was the contact between Kevin Harvick and Marcus Ambrose.
Yeah, it did. That really ruined Ambrose's day, as a matter of fact. Had a decent run going. You see him coming down pit road. Kevin Harvick gets into the back of him. Sticks Ambrose kind of awkwardly in his pit stall there, and it just created a terrible run for Ambrose today. A lot of problems on pit road.
Rusty mentioned a few seconds ago the problems for Carl Edwards earlier today. Stuck on pit road. There was something broken in the engine. They finished in 36, 29 laps down.
Yeah, but this is a very, very strong team. Carl's got the right frame of mind. He'll recover from this and get back on track next week in Bristol. A good, strong team.
Speaking of strength, Jeff Gordon was strong today.
Yeah, Jeff Gordon was outstanding today. Got up front, led a bunch of laps, did a great job, had a good sixth-place finish, did an outstanding job for Jeff.
Denny Hamlin, a guy that we were watching because of the different engine. We never got a gauge.
Yeah, never to get a gauge. His car just handled terrible throughout the day. He finally got in the wall, tore the car all up. He's got that brand new Toyota Racing Development engine in that car. And Brad, we just couldn't figure out whether it was good or bad today.
Couldn't tell at all.
Kyle Busch putting the move on Jimmy Johnson late in the race, taking the lead.
Boy, Kyle Busch, absolutely outstanding. You see Kurt Busch here getting to the wall. Right front tire goes down. We have a green-white checker. We're going to look at what's going to happen. He's got 05 time beside him up front. What's going to happen after the green flag falls? Kyle Busch goes to the front and wins the race.
And you said, Rusty, this is just continuing to solidify Kyle Busch as a real threat to win this championship.
Yeah, he has really matured as a race car driver, no doubt about that. I mean, when we look at Kyle every single week, in my opinion, guys, he's getting better and better and better and starting to impress more people.
That's scary.
I think he is in great shape to win a title. I really do. I mean, he's got everything going on right now. This victory was a big-time one. He run up front throughout the day.
He's getting better and better, but when we heard the interview with Tony Stewart, eyebrows went up.
Yeah.
Frustration in that camp.
Oh, it's all frustration. I mean, Tony Stewart is a second-half guy, and we have looked for him over the past several weeks to get to victory lane, in particular last week at Watkins Glen, where he is an excellent road course racer. So he's a little frustrated, but he is a great race car driver. And that team, Darren Grubb's crew chief, they'll bounce back. They'll be really good at Bristol. I'm not worried about them.
Heading into this day, we were all talking about Roush Fenway. This is a Roush track. They are the most dominant team here. They started on the front row with the pole sitter, Greg Biffle, as well as Matt Kenseth in second. Kenseth was the best finisher in 10th. Very disappointing day.
Well, they've had good runs, but, I mean, they wanted to win. I mean, this is the home of the big three, no doubt about that. And when I drove, I mean, we really wanted to show off in front of those guys. I'm sure Carl Edwards, Greg Biffle, Matt Kenseth felt the same exact way they wanted to get it done. They didn't get it done. In fact, they got a stake drove right in your heart today by Toyota. So that was a tough day for them.
Toyota's now won 4 of the last 5 races here at Michigan. But, next weekend,
go
Bristol,
to the short track. Anything can happen, as we know. And so those guys we're talking about around that 9th and 10th position, they're still a very precarious position. They got to make something happen.
That's one of your favorite tracks.
Oh, man.
Bristol good there. How many wins we got?
Hey, we got 9 wins together. 9 wins.
Throw me in. I got 9 too then.
I love Bristol, Tennessee. Can't wait to get there. You talk about excitement. We're going to see it next week.
How do you think it's going to set things up, though, in the chase? There are still a few guys. Clint Boyer, now 11th in points. No win, but he's in that wild card battle.
Yeah, he's hanging on for dear life, and so is Tony Stewart and those guys like that. But, our Carl Edwards is looking very, very strong. Kyle Busch, Jimmy Johnson, let's talk about him for a second. He's getting himself really positioned right now to go for that 6th title. Had a 2nd place finish today, and he's moved back up to 2nd in the points.
So much waiting to unfold next week, and we will join you first Friday at ESPN 7 Eastern for the NASCAR Nationwide Series race. Remember, Kyle Busch has won the last 2 Bristol races there. No driver has ever won 3 straight. Then next Saturday night at 7 Eastern on ABC, it's the Sprint Cup Series race. Kyle Busch also won 4 of the last 5 races there. How will it play out in this race to the chase? Sports Center's coming your way next, and we will see you next weekend in Bristol.
Leaving on the jack, 4 tires. We really know how to f*** up, don't we, on pit road lately? So, I don't know how we're ever going to get back to the front, Gil.
48 will stay on the racetrack.
Finally, something went right.
Look at Kyle Busch. He is running down Jimmy Johnson.
And here he comes. They have 2 laps to go. Kyle Busch is going to take the checkered flag.
This copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of NASCAR Broadcasting. NASCAR would like to thank all of our loyal fans for your continued support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.